This is the continuing coverage of Bilang Pilipino 2025. We are bringing you the latest stories and results from the recently concluded elections. So please do stay tuned here for the next 3 hours. I'm Diego Castro.
And I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro. Most votes have been counted, and for most areas, there are already clear winners. Still, the canvassing of votes continues. Kasama pa rin po natin magbabantay sa mga resulta ang mga mobile journalists natin and News 5 correspondents on the ground. Amy Atienza is still in Batangas to give us updates. Kyla Macantan is in Taguig. And Arles de los Santos is at the PPCRV Command Center. And Merimon Reyes is live from Comelec.
Dale Israel of One News is in Cebu, and as for News 5 correspondents, Bril Montalvo is still in Davao. JC Cosico is also reporting from the Commission on Elections. Camille Samonte is our second set of eyes at the PPCRV, and Marian Enriquez is in Marikina. Amy Atienza.
Amy Atienza is in Batangas to give us updates there. But before that, we will also be joined by commentators and political pundits to help us make sense of more numbers that will come in and the overall impact of this political exercise. Later, we have political analyst Jean Franco and Earl Pareño and geopolitical analyst Richard Heydarian. Plus, we'll have voices from Comelec and the PPCRV to give us an assessment of the overall conduct of Bilang Pilipino 2025. So ito na, the second day of the election.
Initially, kinabahan ng lahat because the results supposedly did not come out as expected at 8, but tuloy-tuloy na siya once pumalo yung resulta. And mind you, a lot of surprises.
Yes, pag-usapan natin yan
later on. And of course, all throughout this 3-hour coverage, the big story anchor Pauline Versosa will also be giving us the latest numbers from the national and local elections. She brings us the very latest figures now for the senatorial race.
Hey, Pauline.
Okay, so good morning, Angela and Diego. I'm sure lahat tayo napuyat, no? Watching, monitoring the results of this particular midterm elections. And you know, even before the May 12 polls, marami ng analysts na nagsasabi, no, napaka-unpredictable ng senatorial race for this midterm elections. But taking a look at the partial and unofficial results ng Comelec, well, no survey firm predicted what we're seeing right now. Take a look at your screen here. Ito na nga po ang ating Magic 12 so far. Again, disclaimer, partial and unofficial count pa lamang po ito ng Comelec. And this data reflects about 80% of votes transmitted pa lamang this May 13. At taking a look, ito, number 1, Senator Bongo, hindi naman sorpresa po yan sa mga survey. Talaga nga, nangunguna po talaga si Senator Bongo. And as we see here, he got 21.7 million votes. Now, that's a significant increase, compared to his 2019 senatorial bid, where he got around 19.6 million votes. But similar to that senatorial bid, marami sa kanyang mga boto ay galing po sa Mindanao. Again, Senator Bongo, of course, allied with the former President, Rodrigo Duterte. And when you take a look at the heat map over here, talagang dark green, which reflects that he got most of his votes all over the country as well. Nag-top 12 po siya sa halos lahat ng probinsya sa Pilipinas except for one, itong light green na to, which indicates hindi siya pasok sa top 12 dyan, at that is none other than Ilocos Norte, the bailiwick of the President of Bongbong Marcos. Alright, so moving on. Number 2 naman ngayon sa ating senatoriables, isang napakalaking sorpresa, none other than former Senator Bam Aquino coming in second with 16.8 million votes. Now, a big part of his success, sinasabi ng mga analysts, ay dahil nakuha po niya yung tinatawag nating L2L corridor. Ano nga po ba yon? That is the Lingayen to Lucena corridor composed of Regions 3, Regions 4A, pati na rin ng NCR. So, as you can see over here, pasok si Senator Bam Aquino sa mga probinsyang yan. In fact, nagtapa po siya sa mga, let's take a look here. So, Nueva Ecija, mga Tarlac, ayan. So, number 1 po dyan, si Senator Bam Aquino. You've got also Antique, Iloilo, Sorsogon, Albay, Catanduanes, Camarines Sur at Quezon. Diyan po nag-number 1 si Senator Bam Aquino, pushing him into the top tier. Now, why is this surprising? Kasi maraming mga survey labas sa Magic 12 itong si Senator Bam Aquino. So, napakalaking sorpresa nga naman that he finishes in the top 2. Now at number 3, Senator Bato de la Rosa, a re-electionist senator running under PDP Laban. Ito po, when you take a look at his heat map compared to Senator Bongo, talagang sa Mindanao po siya nakakuha ng solid votes. So of course, Senator Bato de la Rosa also allied with the former President Rodrigo Duterte, and this is their bailiwick. Hindi lamang po siya pasok sa isang probinsya dito sa Mindanao, which is Misamis Occidental. Light green po iyan. But when you take a look at the rest of Visayas and Luzon, medyo spread out yung kanyang numbers. Dito sa Central Luzon, pasok si Senator Bato de la Rosa sa top 12, Bulacan, Pampanga, pati na rin sa Cavite, Laguna at Batangas. Alright, so, diba, every time we monitor the surveys, pati si Erwin Tulfo, Congressman Erwin Tulfo, who is seeking a Senate seat, lagi siyang nasa number 1 or number 2. Nagpapalitan lamang sila ni Senator Bongo. But now, siya ay number 4 sa rankings ng senatorial balls. He has 13.8 million votes. Siya ay, of course, running under the Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas ni President Bongbong Marcos. And he is at the number 4 spot. But if we are talking about overperformers, kasama na dyan si Bam Aquino at second overperformer, si Kiko Pangilinan. He comes in at number 5 with 12.2 million votes. He also got most of his votes dito sa L2L corridor na tinatawag natin, na Lingayen to Lucena, at makikita natin, Quezon, Rizal, Batangas,
Number 2 and number 3.
yan, Cavite, NCR na rin. Kasama po si Kiko Pangilinan. In fact, in areas like Metro Manila, pangatlo po si Kiko Pangilinan. He got 1.8 million votes in Metro Manila alone. So, sinasabi natin, napaka-importante na makuha yung L2L corridor because that makes up 40% of the total votes sa bansa. So, sinasabi din ng analyst na pag nakuha mo yung L2L corridor, most of the time, pasok ka na sa Magic 12 na senatorial slate or senatorial balls. Okay, so next naman po, number 6, rounding up the Magic 6, top 6, none other than Rodante Marcoleta, also running under PDP Laban, And just like Senator Bato de la Rosa, he got most of his votes dito po sa Mindanao, except for one area, which is Misamis Occidental. A fun fact lang din po dito kay Rodante Marcoleta, sa local absentee voting, which includes media and uniformed personnel, actually 3 pangalan daw po ang naging dominant dyan. That is Bongo, Bato de la Rosa at si Mr. Rodante Marcoleta. So pinapakita po niya yung strong appeal nila sa mga uniformed services and institutional sectors. Alright, so that's our top 6. But if you take a look at the other 6 in the Magic 12, ito po, Ping Lacson, of course, under Alyansa. Tito Soto, also under Alyansa. Pia Cayetano. Then you have Camille Villar, who transferred to PDP Laban. Number 11 naman po, Lito Lapid, constant frontrunner sa mga survey. Usually nasa mga number 3 or 4 spot siya, but he slid to 11, but still good enough to make it into the Magic 12. And last but not the least, pasok po si Senator Amy Marcos with 10.7 million votes. So, we talked about overperformers, Kasama na nga dyan si Bam Aquino, si Kiko Pangilinan, si Rodante Marcoleta. Bakit overperformer? Because we didn't expect them to place so high dito po sa ating results ng ating botohan. But let's talk about underperformers. Kasama po dyan, Ben Tulfo at number 13, just outside the Magic 12 with 9.7 million votes. Si Bong Revilla din, 9.7 lamang ang nakuha. And of course, Mayor Abby Binay ng Makati, who is seeking a senatorial seat, 9.4 million votes. Nakasurpresa po ayan, because in surveys, usually pasok sila sa Magic 12. But right now, they're outside of it. At medyo malayo yung agwat nila from the last spot, number 12. Senator Amy Marcos has 10.7 votes. Habang si Ben Tulfo naman, 1 milyon yung kanyang kulang, 9.7 ang kanyang nakuhang boto. But that's just based, of course, on the partial and unofficial votes that we have. Angela.
Pawi,
Interesting.
the numbers that we are seeing right now are from the election results, process at 80.44%. Ito yung sa atin sa media. Pero if you will check Comelec, ang election returns na receive na nila, of course, sila yung nauuna, ay at 93.387%. So, right now, siguro, doon natin kasi makikita na lang dito na halos yung mga nasa top 1 at saka hanggang sabihin mo na, hanggang 9 solid na yan na yung mga
Actually,
natin
hindi.
hanggang 10, no?
Hanggang 11, safe na yan
11, safe na yan. Bandang 12, baka tingnan natin. Pero kung malayo naman yung lamang,
Actually,
baka hindi na ganun makahabol, pag nakuha natin yung kalahatang boto.
Si Amy Marcos is a 2 million, almost 2 million difference.
Yeah.
Interesting, Pawi, yung sinabi mo, overperformer. That was an interesting take, or Bam Aquino. I was wondering, makikita ba natin if how Bam did in Solid North or in Solid South?
Sige, tingnan
Because
natin yan.
although you said, di ba, he got the LLC corridor,
Yes.
that will get you kasi into the 12 as you said. Pero I wanna say, what drove him to number 2? Was it Solid North or Solid South?
Sige, tingnan natin
Tingnan
yung
natin
ating
dyan.
heat map for Bam Aquino. Okay, so tingnan na lang natin sa regional So sa North, si Bam Aquino ay he placed third.
I
He got
told
about
you.
almost 1 million votes
So he
din sa
got
mga
about-
regions 1, region 2 nasa top 4 siya, region 3. Yun, number 1 siya sa region 3.
Yes.
With 2.4 million votes.
So those votes really drove him to the top.
Yes.
Interesting.
I also want to know, dun sa kabuuan ng Region 1 natin, sa Ilocos, dyan pa rin, Pawi, yung votes naman ni Senator Amy Marcos, dahil alam
Ay,
naman
oo.
natin, siya, baluarte nila yan, pero meron kasing hidwaan yung dalawang magkapatid, diba? Sinuportahan ba siya ng kanilang mga kababayan dyan sa Ilocos? Or pumanig sila doon sa kapatid sa ating presidente. We also want to look at that. But for the meantime, maraming salamat sa iyo, Pawi. And let's get an update naman from the Comelec Data Center. We have News 5 correspondent JC Cosico right there, right now, live from Manila. JC, tell us what's happening there.
Hi, Ange. It's raining numbers here as we continue to monitor the results of the election. Let's take a look here at the number of election returns received by the Comelec. So yung ER, ito yung results from the polling precincts received by the Comelec. As we speak, they have received over 92,188 ERs for local ERs, while for overseas ERs, 205 ERs yung natanggap na nga ng poll body. Ayon nga sa Comelec, itong mga ERs na yan ay inaasahan nila na makukompleto around 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. today, just in time when the National Board of Canvassers convenes by around 10 a.m. Now, ito namang mga COC, itong Certificates of Canvass, yan ay yung pag na-consolidate na yung mga ER. So itong mga COC na ito po yung kina-canvass ng NBOC for national positions and thereafter proclaim the winning candidates. Now, let's move on. Dito po sa kabilang side, itong monitoring center, no? So, ito naman yung kanilang consolidation and canvassing system na kung saan each LGU sa bansa, meron silang kanya-kanyang CCS. Now, it's the system, literally, that consolidates the ERs from the precincts and then you count it and then again, you produce your COC. Now, sa BARM, for example, there are 115 na CCS. Pag red, okay, there are 57 na naka-down yung CCS. Ibig sabihin po niyan, offline at either nakapag-generate na noong kanyang COC. Now, yun naman mga green, yan po yung mga naka-up, naka-online yung kanyang CCS. Ibig sabihin, ay ongoing yung pagtanggap niya ng transmission from the ACMs. Let's recall na may mga parts nga ng BARM na na-delay yung botohan kahapon. Angela.
Oo. Well, do we know ba, JC, kung anong lugar pa yung iniintay natin ng mga election results? Or returns, rather?
Angela, there are no specifics as at least sa atin nakikita ngayon, no, But I'll get back to you on that as to the specifics kung anong mga lugar pa sa bansa yung ating hinihintay nga na election returns, Angela.
Meron na bang tugon ang Comelec dun sa issue ng kaninang madaling araw, no, ng Tuesday? Nagkaroon ng mga duplicated votes, no? Supposedly, parang may 26 million votes na naitala for Senator Bongo, pero dahil daw na-duplicate, naging 21 million votes na lang. Although walang nagbago dun sa standing, syempre tinatanong na ating mga kababayan, ano yung nangyari? Bakit merong duplicated votes?
Angela, so far wala pa silang pahayag ukol dyan. We'll try to get updates soon as they become available. Angela.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyo. That was our News 5's JC Cosico.
Let's get more insights on the senatorial and local races with political analyst Earl Pareño. Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for joining us today. Nakatulog na po ba kayo? Nakatulog na from
Nakatulog
pagbabantay last night? Bumoto naman po kayo.
Yes.
Ayan, perfect.
Okay, sir, let's start off. No, interesting, the dominance of the Duterte family, Davao region, or specifically Mindanao, despite of the ICC issue. Do you still see that playing right now in the southern area?
Yeah, sa tingin ko after the ICC arrest, mas nag-activate yung Duterte base sa Mindanao and some parts of the Visayas. So, hindi nakatulong sa administrasyon ang decision kung usapin lang ng boto,
Yes,
no? Ang decision to arrest Duterte sa ganong timing, March 11.
So you think they expected na when they arrested the former president, baka mag-regress yung numbers niya and hopefully Nograles would have come out? Kala nila, was it a miscalculation?
I don't know kung kasama sa calculation yon. Dahil ang calculation, I think, hindi nila sinama ano yung magiging impact doon sa elections. Sa tingin ko, ang calculation nila ay mas maraming susuporta sa kanila if they project na may justice,
Yes.
may nag-o-observe sila ng human rights. So they're actually targeting a separate set of
That's right.
voters.
Before I take it to Angel, I'd like to ask you, said they're targeting a separate set of voters. Now, I'd like to ask you, paano yung politics sa Davao per se? I'd like to understand, kasi nung unang panahon, Duterte enjoyed the base of his own age. Now, younger voters.
Yeah.
But you still see them voting for the patriarch, si Rodrigo Duterte.
Right.
Do you see a transfer of yung popularity niya all the way down the line ng generations ng families there?
Sa ngayon, di pa natin masasabi yon, ano, kung may transfer ba. Pero people in Davao and in Mindanao, I think, vote for the Dutertes because of the old man. Not because of VP Sara or because
So
of...
it's him.
Yeah, it's him they're voting for. So, kung may transfer ba yan, it remains to be seen.
Nagulat din po ba kayo doon sa naging result ng ating senatorial survey? Dahil kung pagbabasihan po natin yung mga senatorial survey tracker, Pulse Asia and SWS, medyo malayo po doon sa mga sinurvey nila yung naging resulta po dito. Particularly yung pagpasok po ni Senator Bam Aquino and Kiko Pangilinan. Ganun din po si Congressman Marcoleta. Sabi nga nila, kung may diferensya man sa survey, hindi naman ganito ka-big yung difference. Your thoughts on that po?
No, hindi ako na-surprise dahil ang survey talaga nagka-capture lang yun ng tinatawag sa campaign ng market votes. Hindi yun nakaka-capture ang solid votes, ang command votes na tinatawag ng mga teams. No? Tignan natin si Marcoleta. May solid votes yan siya. Ito yung INC. No? Nag-block voting yan. So, sa survey, dalawa lang sigurong INC ang nakaka-capture dyan. So, hindi nila na-factor in yung solid votes na kaya nito dalhin. Sa ganito din kay Bam at saka kay Kiko, naging senador yan sila dati. Pag senador ka, ilang terms, may presidente si Bam na dalawa, no? May somehow nagkakautang ng loob. Yung mga mga local government officials na may solid votes. Kaya tatawagan lang nila yun eh. Pre, pwede ba bigyan mo ako ng isang vote lang dyan sa area nyo? Isasama ka sa sample ballots. At saka itong sample ballots, itong kodigo na to, sasabihin ng, let's say, yung patriarch dyan or whoever, isama mo to ha, at marami silang na mobilize na boto
That's right.
sa ganyan. So, hindi na factor in yun kay Bam at saka kay Kiko.
Yeah.
Yung mga nagkautang na loob sa kanila.
I'd like to go to BAM now. LLC Corridor would have gotten him into the 12 or 11 spot. The
Yeah.
INC vote, which is 2% of the total voting population, would have gotten him within the top 8 or 9. But he is at number 2. And pina-check natin yung data po, we saw a bulk of his votes coming from the north.
Yes.
Now, do you see now an acceptance from the northern, solid north of an Aquino?
I think so. Dahil sa tingin ko, matagal nang walang solid north eh. Mga 3 cycles na yan
Really?
sa tansya ko. Ang solid north kasi, ang pinaka-glue niyan ay ang tobacco.
That's right, that's right.
Dahil sa 5 provinces ng tinatawag na solid north, lahat yan tobacco producers. Nung nagkaroon ng sin tax, nawala yung karamihang incentives niyan.
Yes.
So, syempre, hindi na sila ang national, hindi na makakakumand yan ng solid votes. Unlike during the time of Marcos Sr., na, sige, kukunin ko yung mga incentives nyo sa tobacco, tobacco taxes. After 2013, nawala yun. Unti-unting nawala yun. Kaya unti-unting nadidismantle yung solid north.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I wanna also ask you po, sir, kasi nakita po natin sa survey also, yung mga voter population, nakita po nila yung bigger number ng Gen X at saka Millennial. So, in total, 61%,
Yeah.
no? So, that's more than 60% of the votes. Nakita po ba natin na sila po yung nagdala ng boto ngayon dito sa senatorial race natin? And do we also see yung contribution ng mga religious sectors such as INC?
Yeah, lahat yan dahil hindi mo lang naman isang factor yung nagpanalo kay Bam or nagpanalo kay Kiko or kay Marcoleta. Hindi lang isang factor yan eh. Mixed yun. So, may youth vote dyan, no? Yung mga hindi pa nai-impluensyahan ng mga dynast o ng command votes, no? Maraming factors dyan. May factor din dyan kung nabibili ba, yung mga ganyan. Marami yon. Pero sa tingin ko, it's always doon sa market votes, messaging nila, and sa solid votes, yung relationship na nabuo nila ng family nila in the past, doon sa mga may hawak ng command votes.
So did you see now the pink wave somewhat resurrected? Because I've seen a lot of younger, hindi bumoto sa panahon ni former Vice President Leni Robredo sa elections na yon, but a lot of them, the children have voted this time around, no? So do you see that already happening also again?
Yeah, there could be a resurgence, pero we will never know dahil sa totoo lang, maski yung pink votes na yun, ay may mga factions din yun eh.
Yes,
It's
that's right.
also fractious. So, ako ang tinitignan ko, sana may mag-lead sa pagbuo talaga ng isang party na may isang ideology, may isang programa. So that even the dynasties, the problem of dynasties will be resolved dahil bakit nagkakaroon ba ng dynasty?
Yes.
Maraming mga well-meaning politician nagsimula pagka after 9 years nakita nila yung sinimula nilang programa, pag matalo sila ay i-dismantle lang
That's right.
ng papalit. So, gusto nila, yung family nila or very close ally nila ang papalit sa kanila. Nagkakaroon ng cycle, dynasty. Pero kung may party, political party na isa yung programa, assured sila na magtuloy-tuloy yung reforms.
Kumbaga, sir,
na
yung
gusto
system
nila.
dapat ayusin.
Yeah,
But
the
you men-
Parang
political system.
sa US yung
You mentioned
two-party
dynasty. At number 14, we have Bong Revilla.
Right.
He belongs to a, let's face it, he belongs to a dynasty.
Yeah.
So do you think ang pagbagsak niya is because of the disdain of the populace against dynasty politics, or hindi na talaga effective ang pagbubudot?
Budots.
Ganito, sa tingin ko dapat tatlo yung tignan natin sa midterms eh. First, ang midterm kasi ito ay evaluation ng performance ng administration
Referendum,
the
kumbaga.
Marcos. Referendum, kumbaga. Second, performance ng individual, especially sa usapin ng mga incumbents, individual performance. Sa tingin ko diyan nagfo-fall si Bong Revilla eh.
Okay.
Wala siyang ganong performance. At saka yung related yan, yung mga comebacking, nakikita nila. Aquino is a comebacking congressman. Bongo, De La Rosa, no? And even Kiko, mga comebacking congressman yan. Senators.
Yeah.
No? So, eto na lang piliin namin.
Okay.
Ang third lens kasi sa tingin ko, kailangan natin tignan na itong midterm na to ay hindi lang ordinary midterm, kundi ito ang sinasabi kong starting gun for 2028.
Right.
Kaya sa tingin ko may nag-iisip din, sino bang gusto kong maging kandidato sa 2028?
Yun nga po no. I also want to ask kasi this is going to be an additional member po, itong 12 na nakikita natin, additional member for the 20th Congress. And assuming matutuloy ang impeachment trial, can we say na by the looks of it, mukhang mababasura ang impeachment trial? Kasi you have a lot of alliances of VP Sara there.
Not necessarily. Of course, Villar and Marcos additional, boboto yon against the impeachment.
Yeah. But you have Robin, di ba? Robin.
Yeah, si Robin, then Marcoleta. No?
Sino pa ba nandoon sa ano?
Ang tanong dyan, Prof, si Aquino and si Pangilinan, where would they sit in an impeachment trial?
Sa tingin ko, they will base doon sa ano ba yung substance ng case na
So you think wala pa silang...
Wala pa silang decision. And I think, marami din dyan. Even Bongo, maglalaro yan.
Really?
Kung may mga subtle play siyang gagawin. Kasi sabi ko nga, starting gun ito sa 2028.
Yeah.
And if you're the top senatorial winner sa ngayon, magkakaambisyon ka na bakit hindi kukunin yung 20 plus million?
21 million na dyan.
21 million. Pwede na ako maging presidente
And we all know, may lamat sila ni VP Sara.
Right.
Supposedly.
Yes.
Kausap namin siya kanina.
Wala daw.
Kasama namin si Manong Ted. Sabi niya wala naman daw silang...
Hanggang buhay si Digong, hindi sa tingin ko i-erupt yan. Pag mawala ang old man,
That's
or
when you
magiging irrelevant ang old man dahil hindi nila na-sustain yung communication niya doon sa base niya, sasabog yun.
Since you're talking about the 2028 election, ang advance na natin mag-isip. Pero yun na nga, kasi alam natin mga pormahan ngayon, ano naman pong ibig sabihin nito para sa admin, para kay President Bongbong Marcos in terms of his endorsement sa next election, dahil nakita po natin na hindi naman po lahat ng kanyang slate, ng kanyang senatorial sa kanyang slate ay nakapasok dito sa ngayong batch na to.
Actually, pag nasa second half ka na, unti-unti kang nagiging lame duck. No? At saka ang style of leadership kasi ni Bongbong, kung titignan mo, hindi siya ganun ka-assertive. No? In fact, you could call that lazy. Parang bongbongoying, let's say. It's bongbongoying actually. No? So, how can you stay relevant kung ganun yung style of leadership mo? How can he assert doon sa legislative agenda niya? No? So, dapat piliin niya ang maglilid nitong mga tao na to ay may ganong strong leadership over them. Kung hindi nila yun makuha then talagang magiging
Say
lame
goodbye
duck
to
sila.
ano.
So would you say na you were saying about PBBM's endorsement power, although he's a very popular president, pero some are saying parang he doesn't have the same ERAP magic, which was able to transfer to several candidates. Also, the President Rodrigo Duterte's endorsement capabilities. So would you say na even if he's popular, wala siyang ganon?
Yeah, pero ang popularity niya bumababa din, di ba?
It's starting, oo.
Mas tumataas nga si Sara sa popularity. Ibig sabihin, paano kang presidente, dahil usually itong mga politiko na to tinitignan, may impact ba to sa re-election ko sa 2028?
Right.
Yun titignan nila sila ba makikinabang kay Bongbong?
I want to also ask po, yung, can we say it, last-minute endorsement ni former Vice President Leni Robredo kay former DILG Secretary Benhur Abalos and of course Senator Pacquiao. It didn't translate it into votes. What are your thoughts on that?
Kasi ang endorsement sa tingin ko can do only so much, no? May hangganan din 'yun Lalo na ang base ni VP Leni ay masasabi mong the upper C and B. Ito yung market votes Ito yung tumitingin ng messaging
Yeah.
Kaya maski i-endorse yan, hindi yan blindly follow.
Hindi siya command
Yes, hindi siya command. It's unlike other voters na yung LGU, the endorser, ay talagang may command. No? Ito yung iboto mo.
All right, Diego?
All right, and we will continue our conversation with political analyst Earl Pareño when we return. This is Bilang Pilipino 2025, the marathon coverage.
precincts across the country will open to millions of Filipinos in one of the most consequential elections in Philippine history.
You are watching Bilang Pilipino 2025, non-stop coverage of the midterm elections.
Results coming in, 48% so far, 45,000 of 93,000 precincts.
We have on the line Senator Bato de la Rosa.
Gandang umaga,
Ayan.
Pilipinas, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Kami po'y gising na gising pa.
This is the special coverage on Bilang Pilipino 2025. I'm Ces Orenia Drinon. We are still One News, all sides, all the time.
Bilang Pilipino, Bilang Pilipino.
Welcome back to the marathon coverage of One News on the midterm elections. What's the latest at this hour? Well, several candidates have formally conceded following the release of partial results in the 2025 midterm elections. Okay, we have in Manila, businessman Sam Versosa conceded defeat on Monday night after trailing in the local count. Although the outcome did not favor his campaign, he expressed a gratitude to those who believed in his vision of change. He also congratulated leading candidate Isko Moreno, expressing hope that his victory would benefit all of Manila. As of 8 a.m., Versosa places third in the Manila mayoral race with over 130,000 votes, and he trails behind incumbent Mayor Honey Lacuna, who has garnered more than 152,000 votes, and former Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso, who leads with over 432,000 votes. Now in Cebu City, incumbent Mayor Raymond Garcia has conceded and congratulated his rival Cebu City Councilor Nestor Arquibal on his apparent victory. In a Facebook post, Garcia said he will spend the coming weeks ensuring a smooth transition for the incoming administration. As of 8 a.m., Garcia remains second in the mayoral race, trailing Arquibal by over 134,000 votes. Meantime, in Laguna, Santa Rosa Representative Dan Fernandez has accepted his loss in the gubernatorial race and congratulated frontrunner Sol Aragones, a fellow politician and former journalist who remains ahead in the polls. As of 8 a.m., Fernandez sits in third place with more than 220,000 votes, while Aragones continues to lead with over 500,000 votes. And in Baguio City, Representative Mark Go has officially conceded to incumbent Mayor Benjamin Magalong, who is on track to serve a third consecutive term as the city's chief executive. As of 8 a.m., Go trails in second place with 34,000 votes, while Magalong leads the race with over 44,000 votes.
With election integrity and voter education being crucial, the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, or PPCRV, remains a strong watchdog for fairness and transparency in the electoral process. Joining us live to provide their assessment is Ana de Villa Singson, PPCRV Senior Trustee and Spokesperson. Ma'am, thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting PPCRV.
All right. We're about to complete our yung elections natin.
Good. Let's fix our line first. Can you hear us okay, Miss Ana?
Yes, I can hear you. I
Okay,
can hear
good.
you well. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, let's get right to it. How would you assess the overall result of the election and how Comelec prepared?
Okay. Good points. Transmissions are very fast. If you look at the Comelec dashboard, they already have election returns of up to 98%. Okay, so that's very good. It means that lahat ng Starlinks na deploy nila, yung pagkat 5G natin ngayon technology, that worked excellently well. I think also that we think that the elections were relatively more peaceful than the past elections, especially in the Barm, Maguindanao area. We saw less incidences than we did in 2022 and in the last election, so that's very good. And now things that we feel can be improved. Number one, it took a long time before we saw the first data dump in our transparency server yesterday. Comelec already had eyes on around 66% of the data, pero kami, ang nakikita pa lang namin, well, wala pa, no? It took a while bago nagpadala sila ng data file na pwede namin i-process. So there was a gap in the time between na nakikita na nila yung votes, tapos bago namin ma-process yung data kasi hindi pinalala sa amin in files na mapoprocess. Tapos second, yung issue namin ngayon, and I spoke about this morning, is that Comelec already received 98% of the transmission. So
Yes.
98% na ng lahat ng presinto, they have the results na. Pero kami ho, lahat ng may transparency server data, PPCRV, majority, minority political party, NAMFEL, at saka ang media, lahat ho kami hanggang 79.9% lang ang visible sa amin. So if they have the transmissions already of up to 98%, sana naman ipakita rin sa amin yung balance kasi meron po kami 18% na hindi nakikita. And that is very crucial, especially for the senatorial race, which can affect the last three counts and the last three positions. In terms of other good things, we think that Comelec was attempting to be very transparent this time around, and we appreciated that. Meron nga kami direct access ngayon sa transparency server at very responsive naman po. But we hope that they will be as transparent and responsive regarding the issues kung bakit na-delay yung pagpadala ng data sa amin kahapon at bakit hindi namin nakikita yung 18% ng data ngayon.
Yes, Anna, a lot of people have noted, well, especially in the sphere of social media, about the fluctuation of votes around 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. And a lot of them, I think, did not understand what happened. What happened with that from 24, naging 21, bumagsak ng 19? Yung kay Bongo yun, yung votes niya.
Yeah, our data did not fluctuate to 19. It fluctuated from 25, I think, to 21. And that was because there were some precincts that were double counted in the data that was set to our transparency server. I think Comelec, lumabas naman ng Comelec with that, no, na in-explain nila na may mga precincts, I think 15,000 precincts were double counted. Kaya ho, na-inflate yun. Nung tinanggal yung double count, bumalik siya sa tamang count, which is what everybody is showing now. PPCRV, lahat ng media, pinapakita na yung tamang data.
Ma'am, ano po yung kumbaga tugon po ng Comelec doon po sa sinasabi natin, meron pong pagbagal ng transmission of votes nung close to 90% na po ng election returns, no? Nung wee hours po ng Tuesday.
Well, that transmission, that's controlled by A1. Si A1 po yung ating transmission provider for this year. In fact, in general, we think the transmission is very okay because, as I said, it's only, as of this morning, naka 98% na sila, and that was barely 12 or 14 hours after the polls closed. Tapos they reached already 98%. Mataas po yun. So that's very good. Yung problema ko, only 80% ang nakikita natin. We have no visibility, we have no eyes on the 80%.
Okay, thank you for that insight. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, and we will continue to get in touch with you regarding this matter. Thank you so much po. But right now, Jago,
Go ahead.
right now we would like to check in sa Comelec. Let's listen in first to Comelec Chairman George Garcia explaining the delay.
Dito sa 5, may naunang 2 na madodoble doon sa unang naipadala. Okay po. Sinabihan po namin sila, yung mga nakakatanggap na ito. Yan. Merong program na kinakailangan kayong gawin. Yung program na yon naglilinis so that ang matatanggap nyo sa halip na 5, yung 3 na lang. Kinakailangan nyo yung program na yan. Meron pong kasi mga entities na sumunod na gawa ng program. At meron pong mga entities na hindi nagkaroon ng sinasabing program. Kung kaya, yung isang entity, medyo late nakakapagpakita sa telebisyon dahil naglilinis pa sila. Yung ibang entities naman nakakapaglabas na dahil hindi po nila kaagad nalinis dahil wala silang program na sinasabi natin. Kung kaya, meron pong entities na 2:00 ng madaling araw, naglinis po sila. Nilinis nila, tinanggal nila yung unang 2 na dapat ay wala na sa mga susunod. So therefore, sa bawat 15 minutes na ipapadala, laging nauulit yung mga naipadala na. Kaya kinakailangang linisin. Kaninang madaling araw, naglinis sila. Matapos namin silang i-call ang attention. Bakit wala kayong program na naglilinis? Kaya po, na-correct nila kaninang madaling araw. Nangangahulugan po, gusto ko ipaliwanag, hindi po Comelec ang naglilinis. Wala po kaming kinakailangan linisin. Wala po kaming kinakailangan ayusin. Bawal po kami mag-process sapagkat real-time ang results galing sa amin. Kung may mga naglilinis, ang NAMFREL PPCRV meron po silang program. Therefore, nakapaglinis din sila kaya medyo mabagal ang pag-release din nila kasi naglilinis pa sila. Ngayon, hindi ko po alam yung majority, minority, pero yung sa media, kinakailangan yung mga nakadepende sa media server na kumukuha, kinakailangan naglilinis sila para accurate at tumutugma sa tinatanggap ng Comelec. Kung ang tinanggap na namin as of kagabi, sabihin na po natin na 80,000 na presinto, sana dapat ang lahat na natatanggap din ng media coming from their servers ay 80,000 din. Hindi tayo dapat nagkakalayo. Kaya lang sumobra, sabi 5 milyon, sapagkat ito ang dahilan. Sapagkat hindi nagkaroon ng sinasabing program para lang malilinis yung nadodoble as a result of processing. So yun po yung aking gustong ipaliwanag na wala pong dagdag bawas na nangyayari. Ang pagbabasihan nyo lagi, yung mga kandidato, yung mga political parties, isave nyo yung Comelec website na nilalabas namin. Kasi yung Comelec website, walang interruption yun, tuloy-tuloy po yun na nangyayari. Sa kasalukuyan, ang ating pong website ay tumatanggap na ng 98.75%. At yung pong mga entities na ito, PPCRV, NAMFREL Media, majority, ay tumatanggap din more or less ng 98%. May konti man discrepancy, yung point na lang ang discrepancy, sapagkat lagi naman siyempre una ang central server ng Comelec. Pero yung mga yon halos magkakaparehas yung pagkakatanggap nila. 98 na lang o 98 na napapadala. Almost mahigit 1 point something na lang po ang kulang natin. At yung pong 1 point something na yon, kasama po dyan ang Datuudin Sinsuat. Kaya lang, again, wala po kayo. Pagka po minakita mga kababayan natin na ranking, pag minakita mga kababayan natin na boto ng bawat kandidato na nakasuma total, hindi po sa aming galing yon. Bawal po kaming gumawa nun. Ngayong araw na to, magsisimula po tayo ng canvassing. Ngayon, yung canvassing na yan, hindi po yan yung mga ito. Hindi po yan yung mga presintong yan na isa-isa. Itong buong bayan na to, ng bayan ng Timbuktu halimbawa, yung bayan na yan, ipapadala yan sa PBOC, Provincial Board of Canvassers. Pag nagpadala dito, hindi na po magpapadala muli sa mga entities na yon, wala na. Ang transmission, yun lang mga presinto. Kasi ito ang source. So ngayon yung PBOC, kung meron siyang, sabihin na po natin, 20 na bayan, isusuma total niya ang lahat ng 20 yan para magkaroon sila ng tinatawag na provincial canvass. At itong provincial canvass na ito ng probinsya ay tatransmit naman sa NBOC. So nangangahulugan, kung meron ng isang probinsya ang nakatapos sa kanilang canvassing, nakapagproklama na ng kanilang governor, vice governor, sanggunian, pwede na silang magpadala electronically sa amin, yung binuksan natin kahapon na CCS, sa NBOC. Kaya kung gano'n kadami ang probinsya, gano'n kadami po ang ika-canvas ng Comelec NBOC na bilang ng mga canvas mula sa iba't ibang probinsya. At ang bawat post sa abroad ay kanya-kanya rin napadala dito. Kung 93 yung post, 93 din ang ipapadala na kadami. Yung pong highly urbanized city, kanya-kanyang padala rin po yan dito sa Comelec. So, ibig sabihin, yung po ang matatanggap namin, hindi yung individual na presinto. Eh, bakit kayo, Chairman, merong ganon? Bakit kinakailangan meron kayo doon sa server tapos nilalabas nyo? For transparency sake. Para kayo mismo, gusto nyong malaman, sige nga, tama ba yung naipadala sa Comelec, sa server, na election returns, Nakakuha kami, nakakapicture pa. Ito ang botong nakuha namin. Tama ba yung pinadala? I-click nyo lang. Sa website ng Comelec, yung mismong bayan, yung mismong presinto, tingnan nyo, tumutugma ba yung nakuha yung picture na nakapaskil sa labas ng presinto doon sa naipadala ng Comelec. In the same manner, tingnan natin yung sa media. Yung bang media 1, media 2, 3, 4, 5 na kumuha sa server, pag ba nagsuma total sila at nakakuha ng ranking, yan ba ay nakabase sa tunay na boto na nanggaling mismo sa presinto na natanggap din ni Comelec, ni PPCRV, ni NAMFREL, para lang pumaliwanag sa atin ang ating proseso. So ngayon, ang kauna-una ating kakanbas, huhulaan ko na, local absentee voting. Sapagkat kagabi pa lang, tapos na ang local absentee voting sa kanilang canvas. Kung sino nanalo, mamaya natin malalaman kung sino nanalo sa boto ng 51,000 na mga bumoto kasama ang miyembro ng media. 800 lahat kayo na nakaboto sa local absentee voting. So yan po yung ibig natin sabihin. So may posibilidad po ngayon na hindi tayo magtatagal. Baka po konti o ilan lang ang ating makakanvas kasi yung palang ang dumarating sa kanila. Pag po nagkagano, wag po nyo ika-surprise kung bigla tayo magsususpend muli. O pwede tayo mag-resume halimbawa mamayang hapon pag may natanggap na muli tayo na result mula sa ibang PBOC, sa ibang post, o kaya sa city BOC. So yun po yung aking paliwanag lang. Para po naunawaan lang natin. Wala pong dagdag bawas, wala pong shading, wala po. It's just a matter of nag-correct sila. Kung sino man yung nag-correct, kinakailangan mag-adjust at mag-correct dahil nga po sa nadoble yung mga boto dahil pinaprocess. Pag po pala pinaprocess, meron sila dyan sa IT. Pag pinaprocess, nagaganon. Kaya kinakailangan meron kang program para lang linisin at hindi madoble. May 2 istasyon nagpa-process. And therefore, yung 2 istasyon ay hindi ganun kabilis, pero accurate, tama. Tumutugma siya sa Comelec transmission. So yun po. Baka may question muna tayo. Yung 19, baka pwede ko nang sabihin na lang mamaya kasi meron pa kaming maihahabol ngayong araw na ito na suspension ng proclamation na monitor namin hindi pa naman napoproklama. As to whether nanalo yung mismo mga kandidato na kasama sa 19 na suspend ang proclamation, hindi po namin alam yon. Basta po naipadala namin kagabi yung mga order suspending their proclamations.
Okay, we go to questioning. First question, Maricela Lili, TV5.
Sa ilalim po.
Good morning, Chair. Chair, may we have an update about dun sa 15 presinto o 12 na lang yata ngayon na kinailangan na mag-reprint ng ballots?
Salamat po, Mama Se. Dumating na po yung mga balota kanina. Kasi po, yung first flight, yung po lahat ang in-avail namin. Hindi na po namin in-avail yung pong military plane na ino-offer sa atin. Nag-commercial na lang po. Kasi po, mas madali po yun eh. Pag military plane kasi, pupunta muna sa isang lugar na to, maghihintay doon, baka magbababa pa ng mga ibang gamit o ibang mga tao, tapos saka pupunta madidelay. Samantalang yung first flight na commercial, yung po yung in-avail. Kanina, yung pong iba naman, sa 12, kagabi, ay naibiyahe na hinabol doon sa flight po kagabi.
Sir, may we know kung ano-anong mga areas tong 12?
Sandali po ha. Ang 12 pong yan ay 11,000 more or less na boto. Ito po yon. Sa Antique, Kaluya, sa Barangay Imba, 517 na balota. Sa Eastern Samar, sa Oras, sa San Eduardo na barangay, ang official ballots na kailangan ay 250. Sa Cotabato, sa Carmen, sa Poblasyon, 3 presinto yon, ang kailangan 206, 221 at saka isang 970. Sa Cotabato pa rin, sa Kibudtungan, 2 presinto, isang 784 at isang 800. Sa Kilala, isang presinto, 691. Sa Kimadzil, 645. Lanoon, 486. Lilongan, 3 presinto po yan, isang 950, isang 929, isang 737. Sa Ugalingan, isa po yung 533. Sa Malapag, 2 presinto, isang 960, 927. Sa Manili, 564. Palanggalan, sa 593, lahat ng yan ay sa Cotabato, except, Cotabato rin lahat ng yon. Lahat-lahat pong yan ay 11,763.
So meron na pong ongoing na election, voting dun sa areas na yan, and suspended din yung work dun sa mga areas mentioned?
Ating makikibalita po tayo mamaya sa local Comelec natin kasi may ugnayan na sila doon sa mga LGU patungkol sa pagsususpend ng mga pasok at trabaho doon sa area. Malalaman po natin mamaya kung ano na yung nangyayari when it comes to the conduct of the continuation of the election doon sa mga lugar po na yan.
Sir, last na lang, do we expect na matapos within the day yung
Dapat
voting?
po, more or less po yan ang expectation natin. If I may po, Ma'am Mase, maliban doon sa kasagutan ko, kanina as early as mga bandang 8 o'clock, ang natatanggap ng central server ay 98.59. Sa minority, 96.95. Sa majority, 96.93. Sa media, 96.95. Sa Citizens Arm, 96.90. Citizens Arm 1, yan po ay PPCRV, ang NAMFREL, Citizens Arm 2, 96.94. Yan na po yung figures ng lahat ng election returns na natatanggap doon sa mga nabanggit ko na mga servers. So asahan nyo po, maglalabas ngayon ng umaga yung pong lahat ng entities na yan ng kanilang updated na figures. Kung yan po ay nakasuma total, mas maganda po siguro. Pero yung Comelec, again, hindi namin alam kung sino ang lamang, kung sino ang number 1, sino ang number 12, sino ang lumalamang sa party list.
ABS-CBN, Johnson Manabat, please.
Chairman, good morning. Johnson po from ABS. Sir, pa-clarify lang yung kagabi, yung sa pagpasok ng election results doon sa server po ng Comelec, like in the case of Valenzuela, more than 50% ng ERs na meron na sila, pero hindi nagtatranslate yung figures into votes na kino-question po nila. Bakit ang laki na ng pumapasok na ER pero walang translation ng boto?
Sa amin po o sa ano?
From the Comelec.
Hindi po sa amin, may boto po yun kasi may nakalagay doon sa isang television, nakikita nyo po kung ilan yung pumapasok, halimbawa 50%, ang pwede pong gawin, sana nagre-request po kayo, pwede naman i-request doon sa natin, may ER results. So pwede nyo po makita yung ER results. Wala po kasi kaming isang TV, nakita mo yung pag isang ganun mo lang, makikita mo, i-request mo talaga na baka po ang ibig nyo sabihin, dito sa mga ibang, dito po, sa kanila, baka po hindi pa nila natapapakita, baka kasi pinaprocess pa nga, dahil nga po, kinakailangan i-process para maging human readable. Pero sa amin po, real time, basta nagpadala ang presinto, in just a matter of seconds, matatanggap namin. Gusto nyo malaman kung pumasok, patingnan nyo yung ER results. O kaya naman makikita nyo from nakatanggap 50, biglang naging 51% na natanggap ng Comelec kasi may pumasok na mga bagong election returns. Sa inyo po kasi, sa dito, may usapan po kasi ang lahat ng entities every 15 minutes yung pagpasok. Not unlike sa amin, wala kaming 15 minutes. Basta nagpadala, pasok ng pasok sa aming server.
Okay, follow up.
Chairman, meron ho bang changes doon sa unang binanggit nyo na most likely within a week ay makapag-proclaim po tayo ng kandidatong senador? Mas mapapabilis po ba or...
Nakakatuwa po dahil kagabi pa lang, ang dami na nagproklama ng mga municipal mayors, ang dami na rin nag-concede. At the same time, ngayon, inaasahan natin provincial canvas na. Makakapagproklama na ngayon ng mga governors. So, siguro naman po, sa tulong at awa ng Diyos, baka itong Sabado hanggang Linggo, sana makapagproklama na tayo ng senador. Kasi ang bilis naman eh. Kita niyo po, 98.9% na nga eh. Yung ating punaan dyan, kapiraso na lang yung kulang. Kahit nga siguro wala yung kulang, basta maipadala sa amin yung National Board. Perhaps, baka wala ng effect yung natitirang result eh. Halimbawa. Pero siyempre kailangan ang Comelec 100% ang canvas. Wala dapat isa man na COC ang maiiwan sa pag nagka-canvas ang Comelec.
Okay. Mads Billiard, Net 25.
Hi, sir. Sir, for clarification lang po, hindi po ba pwede na pare-pareho na lang na lahat ng servers ay human readable, hindi yung Comelec lang yung human readable, tapos the rest ay machine readable lang po.
Kasi po yung sa amin kasama sa program kasama sa mismong system. And therefore, kinakailangan magkaroon kayo ng sarili nyong program. Or alam naman po nila, kasi nga po meron pong dalawang mga malalaki na nagawa po ng program, kaya po nakakapaglinis sila. Kaya po mas mababa yung figures nila kumpara doon sa iba. Kaya po nung maglinis na yung iba, ibig sabihin mag-ayos, biglang nagtaka ang sambayanan, ayan na naman. Yung nangyari dati, ayan na naman, bigla na namang lumiit, nagkaganyan. Nangyari na po dati, kaya we learned from our experience. Talagang pinaalala po namin yon. In fact, kami po ang tumawag kagabi sa kanila, madaling araw kanina, na para sabihin, mukhang hindi kayo naglilinis. Mukha pong nadodoble pa rin yung inyong boto, kaya may ganyan na parang dagdag sa boto, samantalang dapat ay wala.
So, posibleng yung delay, sir, sa PPCRV, ganun din, hindi sila nakapaglinis agad?
Hindi ko po masagot. Alam ko po yung sagot, pero mas maganda sa kanila na po manggaling yung kasagutan.
Okay, thank you po. John Mendoza from Inquirer.net.
Morning. Clarification dun sa earliest proclamation. Sabado is the earliest, Chairman?
Yes. Sana ha, kung papasok lahat talaga ngayon. Kasi transmission lang Hindi naman namin hihintayin yung hard copies Transmission lang, makakanvas. Ipiprint lang dyan tapos pakikita lang sa mga lawyers. In fact, sa isang araw, pwede kami makapag-canvas kahit 30 na COC. Basta pumasok, wala na lang tayong tulugan dito. Dire-diretso namin gagawin yung pag-canvas. Kaya lang, siyempre, hanggat walang dumarating, we have to suspend the proceedings kasi maghihintay muli tayo ng pagdating. Kaya kung may dumating na halimbawa, ngayon, 3, 4, o di i-canvas natin ngayong umaga, pag wala na uli, suspend muna, resume ulit tayo mamayang hapon. Kaya hanggat maaari, naandito rin kayo kahit hanggang gabi para makuha. At magre-release naman ang Comelec, ang NBOC, nung mismo mga na-canvas sa araw na yan, yung ating canvas reports, para kayo na ang magsuma total ng boto. Hindi po kami. Kasi nga po, hindi kami pwede pa magsuma total hanggat wala pong final na result coming from the last and final COC.
Okay. Joseph Morong, GMA7.
Sir, good morning. Sir, dun din sa transmission. So, from kagabi, ano ng klase ang data yung binibigay ng Comelec sa mga servers?
Yung data, yung package, galing sa mismong presinto. Hindi po galing sa amin Tingnan niyo po yung drawing ko. Otherwise, pagka po ganun yung ating tanong at paniniwala, mangyayari, parang ito, nag-share dito, nag-share doon, nag-share doon, nag-share doon. Walang transparency pagka ganon. Hindi po kami ang nag-share. Dito po nang gagaling sa mga presinto yung lahat ng binibigay natin. So again, yung natatanggap nyo pa rin, kahit naman yung alas 7, ang natatanggap pa rin ng lahat, dapat galing dito. Kaya lang, kinakailangan nga i-process. Kasi lahat na nakasubscribe dito o nakakuha dito, kinakailangan i-proseso.
Sir, dun po sa ilan yun, 19? Ilan po yung magiging nating grand total ng mga suspensions? Kasi may madadagdag po tayo, di ba?
Ngayong araw na to po, meron pa kaming for signature ngayong araw.
Mga ilan yan?
Pinag-aaralan po kasi ng mga division pa kung ilan yung idadagdag. Pero at least yung commitment po namin, di ba sabi namin, hindi kami papayag na kapag meritorious yung kaso o kung hindi naman ay yung kaso ay may desisyon na ang division na against do sa respondent, malamang-lamang po na maglabas kami ng mga order of suspension.
Sir, so yun lang, kung halimbawa, may isa kasi sir na district na medyo lamang yung may complaint or kaso. Paano yung magiging status po nun? Hold tayo until ma-resolve ng...
Pero Sir Joseph basta hindi nakadepende yung pagkilos namin or yung pag-suspend namin sa kung nananalo o natatalo. In fact, kahapon nung nilabas namin yon, hindi namin alam kung nananalo o natatalo yung mismong kandidato. So meaning to say, even if on the assumption na nananalo o nananalo yung dapat na disqualified, hindi po yun ang basihan namin. Ang basihan pa rin namin yung records, kung meritorious ba yung kaso o hindi.
Sir, paano po yung pag-resolve nun? Kailangan magbilis-bilis yung Comelec kung ganun? Or kasi you have June 30?
Minsan po, kahit natapos na yung June 30, tsaka namin nare-resolve sa sobrang dami ng kaso. So in which case, kung ang position ay local at nakasuspend ang proclamation, pansamantala, in an acting capacity, yung kanyang vice mayor, halimbawa, kung governor, yung kanyang vice governor.
Pagka, Sir Congressman?
Pag sa Congress, wala pa ang congressman.
Bakante.
Okay, mag-alala. Yung resumption ng Congress ay July pa naman.
So may
At
time
ang
pa.
assumption to office naman ay June 30, noon ng after nitong Mayo na ito. Kung yung marapatin, mamaya na ulit tayo. Total naman, since hindi naman tayo magtatagal, balik na lang ulit tayo dito.
Sige sir, dalawa lang naman kakanta.
Salamat.
Okay. Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
You just heard Comelec Chairman George Garcia in his press conference along with some members of the media explaining the supposed what happened yesterday, yung nagkaroon ng mga double votes. Yung pala, it's just a duplicate na for some entities na wala pong mga system or programs na maglilinis doon, nag-reset lang, naglinis siya, kaya may mga pagkakaiba ng mga number of votes. Kasi for example, you have Network A would have 21 million for Bongo, the other one would have 24, 25, or 26 as explained also by Namfrel. Ang in-explain ni Chairman George Garcia doon daw, based sa press conference niya is, some of these entities, meron silang program that would clean the duplicates, the others hindi. Kaya nakita na nagsishift yung number, it's because at this time, naglinis yung entity ng duplicate. So that was the explanation for that. Wala daw nangyari. Parang yung nangyari last election na paggising niya ng mga tao, iba na ang resulta. Di ba, sir? Di ba? So wala po. In hindsight nga, if you compare this to the last elections, this one was pretty fast. In just a blink of an eye, natapos na siya. But for now, Pauline is here to walk us through the latest data. This time, Pauline, I understand it's from the NCR?
From the NCR, oo, tama, no? Pero balikan ko lang din, Diego, yung tinanong ni Angela kanina on where the votes of Senator Amy Marcos came from.
Yes,
Kasi,
that's right.
di ba, tinatanong natin, she is in the Magic 12 with 10.7 million votes. But let's find out where she got those 10 million. Kung sa Solid North pa rin nga ba o nakakuha na siya ng mga boto mula sa Mindanao. After all, she was endorsed already by Vice President Sara Duterte. Pati na rin naging guest candidate ng PDP laban. So if you take a look at this heat map, so may kita po natin yung mga dark green colors. Yan po ang mga probinsya kung saan pasok po si Senator Amy Marcos sa top 12. So as you can see, dito po sa Mindanao, parang hati pa rin yung mga boto. Pasok po siya sa top 12 sa Agusan del Sur, sa Davao del Norte, Davao del Sur, sa Maguindanao del Sur. Ayan. Pati na rin sa mga Zamboanga, pasok rin itong mataas si Senator Amy Marcos, pati sa Misamis Occidental. Although sabi nga natin, hati sa Mindanao because in areas like Cotabato, Bukidnon, Misamis Oriental, pati na rin sa Surigao del Sur, hindi siya pasok dun sa tinatawag nating top 12 sa probinsya na yon. But if you take a look at Luzon, lalo na Northern Luzon, yung Solid North na tinatawag, parang nakuha pa rin yon ni Senator Amy Marcos. After all, that is the bailiwick of the Marcoses. So mukhang nag-deliver pa rin sila para sa kanya kahit na may pag-aaway yung mga Marcos, di ba? You have President BBM and Senator Amy Marcos not in good terms. Aside from Senator Amy, I also wanted to focus on, of course, Camille Villar, Congressman Camille Villar, who is now poised to win a seat in Senate. She has 11 million votes based on our partial results. If you take a look at our heat map over here, most of her votes galing po sa Visayas area. Ayan, kasama na po dyan, Negros Occidental, Bohol, Cebu, Leyte, Samar, Northern Samar. Sa Mindanao rin, majority votes except for Agusan del Sur, pati areas na rin like Maguindanao. Dito naman po sa Luzon, parang hindi masyado po nakakuha si Camille Villar ng mga boto, lalo na dun sa tinatawag nating L2L corridor na Lingayen to Lucena. May kita natin light green which indicates hindi siya pasok dun sa top 12 ng mga botante. So this just gives you a glimpse of voter preferences in different areas. So
Pawi,
yes,
alam ko lang for the viewers, when you say it's light green, hindi ka pasok sa Magic 12?
hindi pasok sa top 12 in
Okay.
that particular province.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Sige. Gusto din natin malaman kasi later on, if we can have Pawi again here with us,
Yeah.
yung ginawa naman yung performance ni Congressman Marcoleta.
Oh, yeah.
Saan ba siya mas maraming boto, which areas siya talaga na mayagpag, at saang areas naman siya na medyo nag-underperform. We would like to know that as well because nga doon sa mga surveys, sa Senatorial Survey Tracker that we've monitored in the last months, laging nasa bottom nga ito nga si Congressman Marcoleta. Now, all right, let's get the insights of political analyst Earl Pareño, still here with us in the studio. Good morning po once again. Yung pong yung sinabi po ng Comelec, meron po ba kayong comment on
Baka
that?
may comment kayo, sir. Hindi daw, not
Thank
like
you,
last
Pawi,
year daw
by the
na
way.
natulog paggising may bulaga daw. Hindi daw.
Actually, sa tingin ko, sincerely gusto ng Comelec na walang makas na doubt
That's right.
sa result nito. Dahil pag magiging contested ang mga results nito, especially kung may perception na dinadaya ang opposition, ang Duterte, camp, etc.,
Yeah.
posibleng magkakagulo. At ito yung magde-define sa next 3 years ng pamumuno ng Pangulo. Pero kung titignan mo, ang daming, actually mas maraming masasabi nating pro-Duterte ang nanalo.
Yes.
5 sila. So that would be Bongo, Bato de la Rosa, Marcoleta, then Aimee Marcos and Camille Villar. Ang iba, the winners ay medyo, yes, nabibilang sila doon sa independent or alliance ni Marcos, si Erwin halimbawa. Pero we expect na they will be more or less objective kung patutungo ito sa impeachment.
Yeah.
No? So sa ganyan, yes.
No, go. I'd like to, you were mentioning kasi may mga certain na belong to the party of Duterte, may others na they don't belong pero associated with him. I'd like to go to Ben Tulfo. Consistently until the tail end, mataas siya. Naglalaro from 1 to 7. But now, if you take a look, talaga he didn't make it.
Alam mo, the last 2 weeks, ang dami kong naririnig. Nasa Mindanao ako the past 2 weeks, no? At saka sa North, Cagayan, nababahala ang team niya. And was asking the team of Bongo to help him na maangat. Dahil nakabitin nga siya. So maski sa tingin ko, maski sa survey nila, nakikita nilang nalalaglag si Ben Tulfo.
And also worth noting yung congressional seats, no, yung congressional yung mga results natin, especially doon sa Las Piñas, ano. And this is going to be the first time, if ever, na particularly ang mga Villar wala sa Kongreso since 1992. What are your thoughts on that? That ngayon po ay nag-deviate ang Las Piñas at ayaw na po nila ang mga Villar. Base sa result ng election.
Nandyan wala ang mga Villar, pero nandyan ang Aguilar.
Yes.
Di ba? Isang pamilya lang naman yan.
Nag-shift.
Yes.
Pero
shifting.
magkaaway sila, di ba? Yun yung...
Yes, nag-aaway sila. At yun yung nangyayari sa dynasties talaga. Basta pumunta ka, parang business corporate yan eh. Pag nasa third generation ka, nag-aaway ang mga pinsan. Ganon din sa tingin ko, nangyayari sa Villar dynasty. Hindi yun magiging... The Marcoses, ganon din. No? Parang mahirap para sa isang dynasty na masustain yung succession plan nila pag nasa third generation pababa.
So in other words, parang per se, wala nga ang Villar pero andun yung Aguilar. So technically, it's not a change in the mindset of the voter. It's just pinili mo lang yung kabilang family.
Yes, pinili mo lang yung kabila. Pinili mo yung Aimee versus Bongbong kung sa North, di ba?
Same
Yung mga
dynasty,
ganyan.
different personality. Parang
Sorry?
Same dynasty, different personality.
Yes, same go. Different, same po.
What about the Binays?
Different go.
Oo, Binays.
Diba? I mean, si Abby Binay na nagsenado, pero nakita natin sa mga survey, pasok naman siya. Pero pagdating sa tunay na survey, which is the result of the election, bagsak siya sa sa top 12, and you go to the Makati naman, to Makati, and check what's happening there. Si Nancy Binay naman is doing well.
Yeah. Kasi ang Binay talaga, ang base naman nila Makati. In fact, si Nancy, nung nanalo siya, ay nasa precarious situation siya. 12-13, di ba? Naglaban sila with Risa during the time.
Yeah.
Di ba? Ibig sabihin, hindi ganun ka-solidified ang base niya sa iba pang mga provinces, or hindi ganun kalakas ang relationship niya with other political families sa mga probinsya.
So may effect yung nangyari sa Taguig because nawalan ng 100,000 plus votes ang voters ang Makati dahil sa paghiwalay ng Taguig at Makati. So sa tingin niyo po, this affected, that's why si Binay ay hindi pumasok?
Perhaps, pero speculation yon, tignan natin. Pero posibleng nakapag-apekto siya. Pero that's 100,000 votes.
Yeah, 100,000.
Let's say, ang pupunta dapat sa kanya dyan ay 50%.
Yeah.
Di ba? Just the same, nagre-reflect yun sa weakness ng mga Binays when it comes to relationship, getting command votes from other areas of the country.
Kumbaga, ang nangyayari is parang they're relying on their own base.
Right. Lahat naman ng politiko rely on their own vote base. Pero yung relationship na nabubuo niya with other families, nagmamatter yun. Aside sa messaging. Kaya dapat comprehensive yung campaign. Right message, right connect.
Correct.
I have one last question po, kasi we're also looking at the congressional seats at tinitingnan din natin yung mga kongresista na tumatakbo na mga namuno din ng mga hearings, no, sa Kongreso, yung mga confidential funds, etc. No? But we are seeing Joel Chua sa Manila at saka si Jervy Luistro na okay naman yung mga posisyon nila ngayon, nanalo sila. But nakita natin si Benny Abante, nalaglag po siya. So, your thoughts on that po? Briefly.
May kasabihan, di ba? All politics local. Local naman talaga na dynamics yun. Certain portion, naglalaro yung national projection mo. Pero when it comes to local elections, ang local issues talaga ang namamayani. Hindi yun, dahil si Benny, ang ganda ng performance niya o ang pangit ng performance niya sa Quadcom. At the end of the day, ang kinoconsider ng voters sa local elections ay yung local performance mo.
Kung anong ginawa nila doon sa distrito
within
nila.
the district, if you consider yung congressman.
Right. Okay. With that, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Thank you for joining us today, political analyst Earl Pareño. Thank you po. Let's head over to the House of Representatives now with our mobile journalist, Amy Atienza. Amy, tell us what's happening there.
Yes, Angela, nandito tayo ngayon sa Batangas Capitolio kung saan nagsuklaim na para sa mga miyembro ng House of Representatives, pati na rin sa sangguniang panlalawigan. Kanina nakita agad natin dito, maaga silang pumunta ang mga Bolivia, bokalya ng 4th District ng Batangas. So nakita natin ang mag-asawang si Congresswoman Lianda Bolivia, pati na rin ang nanalong bagong 4th District Congressman na si Kong Bolivia. At yan na, makikita din natin dito si Attorney King Colliantes na naging mainit ang labanan nila ni former Vice Governor Mark Leviste. At yun, naproklama na sila dito, okay naman na naging proseso dito sa Batangas Capitolio. At ngayon, kararating lang, nakita natin ang presensya ng kikilalaning bagong Vice Governor ng Batangas na si incumbent Governor Dodo Mandana. So yan pa lang yung nangyayari dito so far. Actually, kagabi, nagsimula na rin sila talaga magbilang pero kailangan nila magtawag ng recess at around 11:30 in the evening para nga ituloy siya ng 8 a.m. this morning lang yan. So, naging matagal yung pahinga nga dito ng Provincial Board of Canvassers sa Batangas. Pero ngayon na nagsimula na yung pagbilang nila ng 8 a.m. kanina, naging tuloy-tuloy na at ngayon nga nagpo-proceed na tayo sa proclamation. Angela?
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyo. That was our mobile journalist, Amy Atienza. This is the Bilang Pilipino 2025 marathon coverage. We're taking a short breather. We'll be back. Keep it here on One News.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
Yes, 1.1. 1 to 3 sound check, 1 to 3 sound check.
Okay, salamat po.
Nasaan daw siya?
Richard!
Kamusta? Akala ko nakalimutan niya ako. Medyo 2 oras na ako naghihintay dito.
Nako, sorry Richard. Wala ano.
Hindi ko alam yan.
Where are you now, Richard?
Enjoy niyo pa yata yung mga tanong 3 a.m. pa dito eh. Diyos ko.
Nasaan ka ba?
Nasaan ka?
Nasa Budapest ako. I'm heading to London later. So, habol ko lang to. Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. That's why pala wala ka dito kahapon.
Pag may question po, later tingin-tingin lang po.
Okay.
Okay. Ba't di nyo pa kaagad siya pinasok? 2 hours na pala.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
Welcome back to the marathon coverage of One News on the midterm elections.
Another political analyst will join us today to make sense of the results is Professor Richard Heydarian. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning. Nakabutan ako na umaga yata. Medyo 1.5 hour ako naghihintay. It's
Ay,
good that
nako.
you're...
Susulit na namin yung oras mo. But let's focus on the midterm results and the future of the Marcoses and the Dutertes. Your reaction on the recent results, 98% na ang election returns from the Comelec. Anong reaction mo dito sa ating resulta?
Well, I mean, unang-una, I think we have to be humble enough and look at bakit yung marami sa mga surveys hindi nila nakuha ng tama ito. In fact, yung pinaka-accurate kong nakitang pre-election survey, actually hindi isang survey, isang consumer sentiment survey na galing sa isang malaking korporasyon. In fact, they almost exactly got the top 5. Number 2 or 3 din si Bam Aquino sa kanila, at top 5 si Kiko Pangilinan. So for me, that raises some big questions dun sa methodologies at assumptions ng mga iba't ibang surveys. Alam natin historically pagdating sa mga surveys, nahihirapan talaga tayo dun sa issue ng Senate. Like marami tayong mga surprising number ones, whether it's Robin Hood Padilla or whether it was back in 2016 elections. Alam ko marami tayo na surprise. But this one is quite a big change.
Yeah.
Now, especially for Bam Aquino and for Kiko Pangilan, extremely overperforming sila. Also with Mark Coleta, also very well performing. Yung kay Bongo naman, medyo alam naman natin sa mga surveys nakita natin. Clearly kay Erwin Tulfo, mukhang because you have two Tulfos here, it did affect eventually numbers of Erwin Tulfo, and it looks like in the end it didn't work for both of them. So actually, ang gusto ko makita dito, and this is something we didn't see back in 2022, is yung exit polls. Kasi dun sa exit poll mo makikita bakit ang layo yung mga pre-election surveys mga 2 weeks ago doon sa nangyari ngayon. So for instance, yung in-mention ko na consumer sentiment, doon sa consumer sentiment na yan, na nakita ko, up to 20%, in fact, lampas sa 20% ng voters, especially Gen Z and millennials, ay nag-decide doon sa final day mismo ng election. So ibig sabihin, hindi yan na-capture ng mga pre-election surveys na natapos ng late April, when in fact, way into May's second week of May, nagdi-decide pa yung iba doon sa mga 12 choices nila, if ever 12 ang pinili nila. And then for the first time, I think, really dominant yung millennial and Gen Z vote together, more than 50% easily. So because wala tayong very authoritative exit polls ng 2022, I think understudied pa rin itong voter sentiments ng mga Gen Z, and to a certain degree, I would say younger millennials. Kasi mga older millennials katulad ko or katulad natin, pinag-aralan na yan ng 2016 elections. They were very decisive in helping Lenny edge out BBM. So that's one thing. But clearly, I think the story here is admin underperformance. I think bugbog sarado talagang alyansa ni President BBM from both sides, because when it comes to the so-called liberal opposition or progressive opposition, January parang grabe yung attack nila pagdating dun sa issue ng budget ng administration, yung issue na itong ayuda ba ay na-politicize. Some members of the liberal opposition even call it the worst budget ever. I think nag-stick yan because it made it very hard for the administration to criticize, for instance, Duterte's on Farmali issue, corruption issue, etc. And then katulad ng minention niyang guest niyo, we had a consolidation of support, talagang straight PDP laban voting, and that definitely helps explain bakit si Bongo yung number one, si Bato, vast majority of Mindanao rallied behind him, and why he's number 3, number 4 even. And then nakita natin halos lahat ng mga pro-Duterte candidates, they saw a massive bump in their numbers, although Philip Salvador, for instance, didn't perform as well as some people expected. But nevertheless, overall, Duterte-aligned candidates are doing well. And we may have not only 1 or 2, we may have up to 4, if not 5, Duterte-friendly candidates.
Yes,
probably 5 Duterte-friendly candidates coming in. So the story here is really the underperformance of the administration, and accordingly, the good performance of Duterte-aligned folks. But I think the big surprise is how well the progressive opposition has done. Akbayan, number 1. Nakita ko dun sa ibang survey, 1% lang ang projection for Akbayan, barely 1 seat. Now they're 7-8%, almost sure na 3 seats. Mamamayan Liberal, not even 1% or 0.5%. Now they may get at least 1 seat. So all sorts of opposition did very well, whether it's the progressive pink opposition or whether it's the Duterte opposition. But I think the Duterte opposition has done way better than even perhaps they expected, and yung idea na having 2 candidates in is not enough, let's get as many as possible. That's gonna have major implications, because pagdating sa Senado, it's a numbers game. Forget about conviction of Sara Duterte if there's a preponderance of evidence. Baka trial man lang, hindi mangyari.
Yes.
Kung marami dyan ay either centrist or pa-safe na mga candidates, or in this case, very Duterte-aligned candidates. And I think one thing I want to also add is, mukhang hindi nangyayari as much yung tactical voting. Because sa aking palagay, whether it's Binay, Abalos, Manny Pacquiao, I think these candidates could have done better, perhaps even edged out Amy Marcos, maybe even edged out Lito Lapid or Camille Villar, because Camille Villar and Amy were endorsed by Sara Duterte. So clearly, alam natin where they will stand on issues come the trial or impeachment of Sara Duterte issue. I don't think there was as much tactical voting. Abalos saw some improvement in his numbers after the Lenny endorsement, but I think it was not strong enough to create really this kind of tactical alliance to make sure that not only Bam and Kiko get in, but also you want to make sure that Pacquiao, Abalos, Binay, who would more likely vote along the preference of the president, if not the genuine opposition, for them to edge out the like of Amy Marcos or Camille Villar. So those are also interesting mga other factors na dapat pag-aralan natin.
Hey, Richard, I'll throw you a question, but the question is, you have Bam, of course, and Kiko. They took the spots of, well, sabi nila, supposedly Revilla and Nancy Binay, and we'll take a look at how they did in the North. But before that, we continue with you. We'll just go on and get some updates.
From Bril Montalvo.
Yeah, from Bril Montalvo. Now, despite being surrounded with issues, Duterte clan continues to dominate Davao City. Former President Rodrigo Duterte is now in a commanding spot to reclaim the city's top post, while his son Baste is also a shoo-in to be vice mayor. To give us updates from Davao, we have with us News 5 correspondent Bril Montalvo. Bril, ano ang sitwasyon, Bril?
Yes, nandito pa rin tayo ngayon sa sangguniang panglungsod ng Davao City kung saan kanina ngang alas 9:12 ay nagpatuloy ang bilangan ng mga boto dito ng mga Board of Canvassers para sa Bilang Pilipino 2025. At sa ngayon ay nasa 99.40% na natra-transmit ito ngang mga boto galing sa iba't ibang polling precinct ng lungsod at nasa 0.60% na lang ang hinihintay para makumpletong 100% na transmitted na itong mga boto sa iba't ibang presinto or polling precinct ng lungsod dito nga sa Sanggunian sa Davao City kung saan dito isinasagawa ang canvassing of votes sa Bilang Pilipino 2025. At sa ngayon ay inaasahan umano na iproproklama ang mga mananalo ngayon dito sa lokal na halalan sa lungsod ng Davao. At Team Duterte ang nagwagi dito. Lahat ng mga kandidato ng Team Duterte mula mayor hanggang councilors ay panalo lahat. Walang nanalo from Team Nograles ni Isamana. So landslide win ang Team Duterte dito sa Davao City.
Alright, one quick question lang before we go. Bril, ano plano ngayon ng Duterte camp given that former President Rodrigo Duterte will assume his post as mayor pero wala siya ngayon sa Pilipinas because he is in The Hague. Mayroon ka bang narinig kung ano yung gagawin nila?
Sabi nga ni Vice President Sara Duterte kahapon doon sa press conference pagkatapos ng kanyang pagboto sa Daniel R. Aguinaldo National High School ay kakausapin pa raw nila ang kanilang foreign attorney at mga Filipino attorney para sa arrangement ng oath-taking sa magiging oath-taking ni former President Rodrigo Duterte bilang alkalde dito sa lungsod. At sabi din ng Comelec na hindi disqualified ito ngang si former President Rodrigo Duterte at if ever na mag-oath na at iproproklama na ang mga mananalo, kung hindi man kasi nga nakakulong si former President Rodrigo Duterte sa The Hague, kung hindi pa niya mapafunction ang kanyang pagkaalkalde ay ang magiging acting mayor ay ang vice mayor dito na mananalo kung saan ang leading ngayon ang kanyang running mate at incumbent mayor nga si Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte.
So safe to say ang magiging mayor si Baste and ang vice mayor will be appointed from the first councilor ata, Bril, no?
Tama ka nga dyan, Diego, no? Ang magiging acting vice mayor is si Duterte din kasi ang nangunguna dito sa councilor is si Rigo Duterte, ang anak ni Congressman Pulong Duterte.
Alright, thank you very much, News 5 correspondent Bril Montalvo. Richard, let's get back to you.
Yeah, what was your question?
Richard.
Yes, I mean, Davao, no surprise.
Yeah, oo. But
Rodrigo the second, Duterte
so,
second yung
Richard,
#1 council.
wala nga si Digong, but we still have a Duterte, no? But before we go there, I'd like to ask you quickly about BAM. We were looking at the numbers kung paano nalaglag possibly yung dalawang bets from the admin, and we're taking a look at the numbers of BAM. Malakas ang votes na nakuha niya from the Solid North. Which is, well, kind of surprising. So ano take mo dito? Did you think he ate into several votes from the admin?
Well, I think, I mean, to be honest, I was slightly critical. Sabi ko, mukhang masyadong pa-safe. Kasi kung titingnan nyo itong election na to, very positive messaging lahat eh. Halos walang umatake sa isa't isa eh. You know, kumpara doon sa in-expect mo, whether itong issue ng West Philippine Sea, itong issue ng ICC, Sara impeachment, kung titingnan mo, for instance, si Bam Aquino, even Kiko Pangilinan, for instance, I'm not sure very strong yung kanilang positioning on some of these contentious issues. But nevertheless, because of their branding, and also because of their, I would say, calibrated positioning, I think ang nangyari dito is the kurut-kurut strategy apparently works. No? So sa isang banda, nakita natin may mga Marcos supporters na sinasabi nila at the end of the day, kailangan natin ng fiscalizers at the end of the day, kailangan natin ng independently minded opposition candidates at pasok sa kanila si Kiko at si Bam Aquino. So more ganun ang tingin sa kanila na both Bam and Kiko sa tingin nila ay hindi maging tuta ng mga Dutertes or mga factotum nila pagdating dyan sa Senado. So they're more hopeful na mag-fiscalize sila dun sa, for instance, issue ni Sara impeachment. But of course, they're gonna also fiscalize BBM because trabaho din nila yan. So as incoming senators. So I think yun yung isang factor. But at the same time, ang dami natin nakita sa, hindi lang sa Mindanao, but iba't ibang parte ng bansa, sa sample ballot, straight PDP laban, and then Bam and Kiko. So it looks like suddenly, naging swing voters, swing candidates sila, and both sides sumuporta sa kanila. So even though, admittedly, ako ay, nung una, medyo critical ako doon, I think because yung overall landscape is, lahat medyo pa safe, very positive ang messaging. Like for instance, kasama namin kanina sa kabila, si Senator Bongo.
Yeah.
Senator Bongo, I mean, yes, I mean, may mga sinabi siya doon sa ICC issue, but overall, focus lang siya doon sa issue ng basically healthcare, yung kanyang mga malasakit initiatives, and kung titignan mo si Bam Aquino, focus siya sa issue ng edukasyon, Kiko naman, focus siya sa issue ng food security, although medyo, sa tingin ko, medyo marami yung kanyang food vlogs, but apparently it worked. You know what I'm saying? Parang lahat mabait eh. Actually, sila nag-attack masyado sa isa't isa eh. Even BBM, nung una niyang speech sa lawag, napaka-strong yung kanyang rhetoric. Dito sa aking mga kandidato, walang sangkot sa...
Hello? Ayan, ako. Nawala si
Richard.
and we'll try to get back
Yeah.
to him para mas malinaw pa natin yung iba pang
Yeah,
mga
he was
questions.
mentioning kasi about these elections fairly, well, in a sense na it was not combative.
Right.
Walang masyado nagbabatuhan ng dumi, no? As compared to previous ones.
If you take a look at it, parang pwede natin sabihin na kasi nag-iba ng strategy itong si Kiko at saka si Bam.
They focused on the ground.
They focused on the grassroots,
Grassroots
diba?
sila.
Instead of, hindi din sila nakisalo dun sa mga usapin.
And
at
it
that
worked well
time,
for them.
Yeah.
I would say
Well,
that.
on that note, let's bring in to the discussion our guest again for today, Professor Jean Franco, Assistant Chair of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, Department of Political Science. Good morning, Professor, and thanks for joining us today.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Prof.
Good
Thank
morning,
you for joining
everyone.
us. Of course, your take on the senatorial race turnout, because, well, we were surprised at the positioning of two independent candidates. What's your take on that?
Well, you know, a lot of people are forwarding their intelligent guesses, no? But then ako nga, I'm realizing all the more that we have exit polls. I think in the 2022 elections, wala rin tayong exit polls ngayon, no? Because that's the only way we will find out how the people voted.
That's right.
Because even the Comelec does not have data on, they have data on turnout and how the people voted. But then the demographics, wala eh. People are saying, it's the youth vote. Wala tayong mapanghahawakan. But then, and then people are blaming surveys, no? But then again, yung surveys naman are really just snapshots of the day and the time it was taken. What happened after 2 or 3 weeks in the run-up to the elections, we don't know. And as you've discussed earlier, Bam and Kiko must have focused on the ground. Totoo yun. But also in what they also won because of what they did not do. Like when Duterte was arrested, I don't remember them issuing any
Talking about
statement.
They kept
So
quiet.
that's a very strategic.
Kumbaga hindi sila nakisausaw.
Yeah, that's a very strategic move. And also, I think that's also a manifestation, the mere fact that they made it to the top 5, of the fact that people are also disappointed with the rift between the president and the vice president.
Parang
you see-
nagka-umay factor.
So you
Yeah,
see a
exactly.
stress sa electorate already with all these issues, and they want it going back to the food. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about jobs.
Issues,
na
yeah.
again.
Issue-based.
And in a way, it reflects what the people saw as, the concerns during this electoral cycle, as has been pointed out by polls, di ba? Kaya nung mga lumalabas yung mga polls on what issues do our voters want to focus on, tapos yung polls na, sabi ko, bakit parang hindi nagmamatch? But eventually, it sort of resonated with each other,
Right.
di ba?
So I was wondering po, kasi yun nga po kanina nabanggit ko na rin dito yun, yung sa voters population, sinasabi po nila more than 60% ay binubuo po ng Gen Z at saka ng mga millennials. So mga younger voters, ika nga. And then we also saw different surveys from the universities na ibang-iba siya doon sa survey na nakikita natin from December to 25 from the mga leading survey firms like Pulse Asia, SWS.
But it seemed more accurate.
Oo, so parang ang nakita natin ngayon, yung mga university surveys, parang yun yung nakikita natin na
Dito.
lumabas dito sa result na yun. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, totoo yan, no? Ako, when these surveys were coming out, in these elections, sabi ko, yan ang tanda na baka they won't make it. You know why? Because in the past, that's kumbaga parang outliers ang university surveys, no? Miriam Defensor Santiago I'm old enough, no? In 1992, siya yung top sa mga surveys. And then Lenny was also top during the 2022 election. So, so eventually
Yung hindi
played
nila
out.
nakita,
Oo. But then, it's difficult to say definitively if the youth vote actually carried them, kasi nga wala tayong
Stronger data at this
demographic.
point?
Yes, at this point. And hindi natin makikita yun kasi wala namang I've long advocated this, no? Na sana yung nag-uusap yung data ng registered voters at saka yung turnout.
Yes.
Pwede
nga.
daw
Yan, that's a good
Pwede daw. Kasi mas mabibigyan ng demographics
So you can
in the way they
understand.
do it in other countries,
Yes.
diba?
Yes.
At saka may exit polls din sila.
Yeah.
Yun. So, kasi when you do that, then it helps a lot in terms of our democracy. Why? Because it incentivizes politicians to cater to the needs of certain demographics. No? Kasi nakikita nila. No, na ito mahina tayo dito o ano.
Yeah.
So in the next electoral cycle, they will sort of respond to their concerns. Pero ngayon kasi walang ganun eh.
Yeah, in the absence of data kasi ang nangyari is analytics came into play, yung interpretations of several pundits. And one lumilitaw po na interpretation is the breakup of the uni team created a third entity which is supposedly the unknown opposition.
Yeah.
Undetermined opposition. At that time, So, Prof, what do you think now with the results? Is there still an undetermined opposition?
Yeah, kasi people got confused na as to who the opposition really
That's
is.
right.
No? And if Bam and Kiko were surprises in these elections, then we're seeing hope that in the next few months, we're going to see a stronger, genuine opposition.
Plus Risa is still, Senator Risa is still there.
Yes.
Now let's get, I think it's also worth noting yung local elections natin, and we've seen a lot of, ang tawag dito, yung mga names, familiar names na bumalik at saka na re-elect lang ulit. How significant is this dito po sa ating midterm elections?
It's very easy for incumbents to act, especially at the local level, to be re-elected because of their resources and networks. However, if you do not win, despite the fact that you're incumbent, then something must have happened that
Yes.
really disappointed your base.
Okay, dagdagan po natin ng data yung ating
Right.
sagot. Let's bring
Pauline.
in first, Diego.
Pauline Versosa.
Oo.
Ano meron tayo dyan, Pauline?
Oo, kanina no, we were talking about how Bam Aquino was a big surprise for everyone kasi sa mga survey, hindi naman siya usually pasok sa Magic 12, but here he is at the number 2 spot with over 16 million votes. So tignan natin no, yung mga probinsya na na-dominate ni Bam Aquino. Taking a look at these vote-rich provinces. So itong top 10 vote-rich provinces, actually lahat ng hindi kabilang sa Mindanao, and also except for Cebu, nag-top 1 po si Bam Aquino dyan. So taking a look, Cavite, Bam Aquino got over 700,000 votes. Bulacan, Pangasinan, Laguna, Negros Occidental, lahat po yan, number 1 po si Bam Aquino. So that's why he has over 16 million votes. Kung titignan natin yung ibang vote-rich provinces, sa Cebu, where there was a turnout of more than 3 million voters, si Senator Bongo naman po ang nag-top niyan with 1,400,000 votes. So that's why also he's enjoying the number 1 lead sa ating senatorial race. May gusto ba kayong tignan na particular area?
Yeah, Pauline, let's take a look at yung kay Bato, how he performed doon sa corridor na yan. It's because given naman yung Southern, di ba, Pauline, sa kanya yan eh. But we didn't expect him also to be number 3. He was in the range of 6 to 8 eh.
Tama.
So saan siya namayagpag?
Oo, so kung titingnan lang natin yung vote-rich provinces, well, in Luzon, or yung L2L corridor na tinatawag natin, medyo malayo si Senator Bato de la Rosa rather. Number 8 siya, di ba?
I would have expected na doon siya bumawi.
Oo.
Pero
So tingnan na lang natin yung heat map.
Ano yung nagdala sa kanya na lugar?
Ayan. Actually, we can compare it also, sa kanyang, tingnan natin, mandito ba si Senator Bato de la Rosa. So in 2019, 5th siya. He was the 5th leading candidate with 18 million votes. If you look at this heat map,
Halos lahat.
yung gitna lang ng Pilipinas, yung bansa, So this is, I believe, the area of former Vice President Leni Robredo,
Yes.
mga Camarines Sur yan. Diyan lang siya hindi nakapasok ng top 12. But taking a look at 2025 where he's now sitting at 3rd place, parang umonti pa nga yung boto niya sa norte, di ba?
Kalat-kalat.
So I guess what we're reading here is that mas nag-solidify lang din talaga yung mga boto niya dito
Mindanao.
sa South, sa Mindanao.
parang almost the same siya sa Mindanao, Pauline, at nabawasan pa nga sa
Oo,
Luzon,
yun
Balan,
din,
Suson. Pero saan siya kumuha? He's
May
number 3 now
kumalat
eh.
siya ng konti doon. Sa bandang Luzon, may konting Luzon.
Magandang case study ito.
I wanna also, kanina yung nabanggit ko si Congressman Marcoleta.
Ayun, oo.
Because we didn't see that coming. Nakita natin siya sa mga senatorial survey tracker natin. Mababa siya, di ba?
Okay.
Although may mga particular issues siya na pinag-uusapan na nagtitrending siya. Go ahead, Pauline.
Also, well, we do know si Rodante Marcoleta, talaga namang based on surveys, umangat yung kanyang numbers nung naaresto po si former President Rodrigo Duterte, right? He was very vocal about it. And ito na nga, it shows dito sa ating heat map na nag-consolidate yung suporta dito sa South o sa Mindanao. We're seeing, sige, check natin, in areas like, check natin yung Davao del Sur, na bailiff ng mga Duterte. Number 3, si Rodante Marcoleta. 600,000 votes. Yan po ay sa Davao del Sur. Dito naman sa Davao del Norte, ganun din. Pang-apat si Marcoleta. So, yun nga yung sinasabi din ng mga analysts, itong PDP laban candidates, ever since yung arrest ni former President, they noticed this consolidation of support, solidifying ng mga Duterte supporters, mga DDS, di ba? And that's
Kasi
why
one
they're
common
enjoying.
goal nila dyan, pag nagka-campaign sila, protect Sara.
Protect
Diba?
Sara,
Kasi
oo.
sila yung mga uupo sa Senado.
Actually, Pauline, yung last 3 clicks mo nga puro PDP laban eh.
Correct.
Diba?
Pero sa sa NCR, may yung boto ni Marcoleta sa NCR. Ni Congressman Marcoleta.
Wala sa Pampanga eh.
Metro
Metro
Manila.
Meron siya eh.
Meron siya.
I know. I think it's quite a significant number sa Metro
So
Manila.
he got
Okay,
Metro
let's
Manila.
just check
It's a given kasi sa Mindanao.
Oo.
Pero meron din pala sa NCR. Diba?
There you go. Well, I think that's from
Hanapin
also
muna
in block
natin
voting ng INC, no?
Yeah, oo.
Yung area. But we didn't expect if he would have won, si Congressman Marcoleta, hindi siya, at least nasa 10 to 11 siya.
Oo,
But
number 6
he's in the number 6 spot. Ayan, go, Pauline.
Okay, so we're looking at Metro Manila. Yung top 12 candidates for Metro Manila, nanguna si Bongo, second si Bam Aquino. In areas like Caloocan, itong si Marcoleta, actually medyo malayo-layo siya, nasa 8th spot siya. This is for Caloocan. Pero nagbabago to, per city.
Yeah, per city.
Pwede natin i-check ang Quezon City,
Yeah.
which is also a vote-rich city.
One of the highest vote-rich cities, no?
So, ito na nga po, Bam Aquino leading that. Kiko Pangilinan as well. Si Marcoleta, medyo mataas din, He got 287,000 votes or 32% ng mga boto sa Quezon City.
So nakikita natin trend, no? Pauline, sa mga pinapakita mo, Aquino, Bongo, naglilipat-lipat lang.
Yes, oo. Tama yan, So, ito na nga, as you can see, vote-rich provinces. But I also wanted to show yung mga key races sa local positions naman. Sa Camarines Sur, si Leni Robredo has just become the first female mayor ng Naga City. She got 68,000 votes, landslide win. Oo, against yung kanyang mga rivals na sila Toots de Quiros. Ayan, so congratulations. Naiproklama na rin si former VP. So ayan, ibang races din na tinitignan natin. Kanina nabanggit na nga sa Davao, ang magiging mayor niyan, none other than si former President Rodrigo Duterte at landslide win din. Kasi si Nograles 65,000 kumpara sa 500,000. But syempre, yung binabantayan din dyan, yung vice mayoral race.
Yeah. And yung congressional seat.
And the congressional seat. So, tinan natin,
Kasi may before the election started, nagkaroon ng, di ba yung video na kumalat tungkol kay Pulong Duterte, yung bar fight.
Well, it looks like it didn't affect him.
Yeah.
Kasi mataas rin, alam ko yung last transmission natin, mataas siya Ayan.
Okay, so hanapin lang natin yan.
Sa anong district siya?
Ito kasi, so we have so much data here.
Yeah.
Pero ito, pagdating sa first, sa city of Davao, Paulo Duterte, landslide win din yan, versus kay Mix Nograles as a representative.
Alright,
So
sige.
kahit anong issue nangyari, namayagpag pa rin ang
Yeah, it's
Duterte.
expected naman That's their bailiwick.
It's not really surprising.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pauline. We'll get back to you for another round of data. But meantime, balikan po na natin yung ating mga matatalinong analysts na talagang hinihimay po yung naging resulta po ng ating eleksyon. Back here in the studio, kasama po natin si Professor Jean Franco. And of course, nabalikan din po natin si Richard Heydarian to talk about local politics.
Alis yata ako. May yata ako. So bigla ako na-cut doon.
Richard, that's...
I was saying, di ba, yun yung ironic na actually it was a very positive messaging campaign kumpara doon sa pwede mo ma-imagine na sitwasyon. I mean, after yung ICC arrest ni Digong, you could have imagined na yun yung magiging defining issue and everyone will lay out their positions and very polarizing. Wala. West Philippine Sea siya. I was expecting na that could have been a big issue kung saan sabihin nila pro-China candidates to, Team Philippines to. Hindi nangyari. Senator Tolentino kind of tried to pull that off towards the end, but it was too late for that. So I think basically what's interesting here is that usually pag very toxic, polarizing, negative campaigning, it tends to sometimes support the opposition kung medyo unpopular yung comment. And I think that's the case with BBM, right? But here, lahat nag-positive, medyo pa-cute, pa-safe. And it still favored the two versions of the opposition. But I think
nawala po. Okay, we'll fix that line first. Okay, with our technical team before we move on with our discussion. Hello?
Okay na. Richard, go ahead.
Definitely. So, ako, for me, I think tama yung sinabi natin ng kanina na meron na tayong third force. I mean, sa isang banda, you can imagine both Chel Jokno and Leila De Lima. I think ML Party will at least get one seat. You have Percy Sandania who will be back also in the Congress, the person who sponsored the first impeachment complaint. So, you're going to have very strong characters dun sa Kongreso who may even be part of the prosecution team if magkakaroon ng trial. So, you're gonna have very interesting situation there with Shell Jokno, with Leila De Lima. At the same time, tignan din natin how the Risa, Kiko, or Bam trio, right? Paano sila magpupush ng kanilang positioning. Kasi at the end of the day, nasa gitna ka pa rin ng traditional politicians and Duterte-aligned politicians. So I think third force talaga ang mga pink or progressive candidates in this case, but how they're gonna position themselves on different issues, yan ang magdi-define ng anong direction na maging hidwa ng BBM at saka mga Duterte camp. And to be honest, as things stand, I won't still be surprised. If you were to bet, you will still bet on a Duterte comeback for 2028. Because if Sara Duterte manages to even avoid the trial, forget about getting convicted, and Bongo is now #1 and projected to get what, 24, 25 million votes. You can imagine very strong yung momentum ng mga Duterte-aligned candidates heading into 2028, just as President Marcos Jr. is gonna scratch his head and wonder, saan siya nakakulang? Clearly nakakulang si BBM in terms of communications. After the ICC issue, he didn't take a strong stance. He didn't make a clear positioning. Yung kanyang mga kandidato, puro mga safe candidates who also didn't stand up for the president and on different issues. And in the end, President Marcos Jr. is facing the possibility of becoming a lame duck president unless he really steps up and leverages whatever power he still has as the commander-in-chief and the president. In his
Pero
remaining
Richard,
years.
now that the dust is medyong settled, you mentioned it na rin. Sabi mo na nga, yung sa composition sa Congress with regards to the impeachment. I'd like to ask you about the composition ngayon of the Senate, given that we have these winners, although unproclaimed, with the current 12 that we have. Ano nakikita mong possible numero kung nagkaroon, if magkaroon ng impeachment trial?
Yeah, yun nga. Like, I'm now even questioning magkakaroon ba ng, yung forthwith, ilang buwan na tayo. Hindi pa rin na dictionary yan. Diba?
O granting na meron. Granting na meron.
Papunta na ako sa Oxford, magtatanong ako sa kanila kung anong definition ng forthwith. And look at it. So 5 mukhang papasok na Duterte aligned, right? Kasama dyan, people like Amy Marcos, likely who are very strongly in favor of Sara Duterte and will really, really rally in favor of Sara Duterte. I'm sure part of Amy Marcos feels she owes this also to Sara Duterte's endorsement, the 11th hour endorsement. And then, dun sa mga nandun na sa loob, sa 12, you could easily say, at least kalate sa kanila, ay not willing to really ruffle the feathers of the Duterte camp when they're looking at the Dutertes doing so well and them also having their own ambitions for 2028. So you can easily see na hindi lang, di ba, 8 ang kailangan ng mga Dutertes, di ba, to basically make it sure na Sara is safe. I can imagine even more than 8 will be on their side. So much so that I'm even wondering what there will be a trial. So, kaya nga mahalaga na hindi maging complacent yung third force. And also administration. Administration, obviously, they're gonna lick their wounds for quite some time. Pero dun sa genuine opposition and pink, they shouldn't also become quite complacent. Yes, very good ang performance ni Pam, very good ang performance ni Kiko, but it's a numbers game. Ilan lang sila? 3 lang sila. So I think that's why as much as people are elated and excited about itong opening ng political space, I think there should be also some realism about how the momentum is really now the wind, the sails of the Dutertes. We saw in the US with Trump, we see it here in Europe. The populist comeback story is something you can never underestimate.
Well, I want to go back to Professor Jean and talk about local politics naman po. No? Nakita po natin sa Las Piñas, nawala na po doon ngayon, no? For the first time in history, as I've said earlier, since 1992, wala pong uupo, no? Ngayon na Villar sa Kongreso. And your thoughts on that po?
I think it has something to do with the fact that a lot of TikTok and memes were actually spreading, no, in the run-up to the elections regarding, for instance, mga rants ni Senator Cynthia Villar.
Yeah, sa church, no? Prof?
Yeah, and this is something that must have turned off even their former supporters. No? And I guess that's also good. I mean, that people turned out against those who they think are really, bullying their areas and sort of having some sort of a family being so hegemonic in that particular area. So, it means that may hangganan din,
May hangganan
kumbaga, so to speak.
Matagal nga lang. Pero other cities like sa Manila, nakita po natin ngayon
The return.
pagbabalik ni Isko Moreno Dumagoso doon, winning by about 300,000 votes, di ba, from the incumbent si Hani Lacuna. Ano naman po basa natin doon?
You know,
parang halos lahat ng kakampi
we
niya.
cannot discount the fact that when Isko was running, even when he was running as a presidential candidate, he really packaged himself as anak ng Manila.
Yeah.
No? And in local elections, it's very important, no, that you know, you're not just a newcomer or Johnny or Jean come lately in our locality. Very yung sense of identity na galing ka talaga dun sa area. And especially si Isko is from Tondo, di ba? And Tondo is a vote-rich area. Ilan ng districts niyan within Manila, no?
Yeah.
I don't know, this is anecdotal, no? For yung mga naririnig ko from Manila, people of Manila, voters in Manila, malinis daw ang Manila during the time of Isko. So I don't know how true is that, but then there's that particular narrative.
Kumbaga, Prof, it's like it was a referendum daw of Mayor Hani. And a lot of this, supposedly, because in the absence of data, dissatisfied Manileños.
Yeah.
So, aside from that, of course, the presence ni Isko on social media was
Social
quite
media,
good.
oo. And that's true, no? It's an expression of dissatisfaction kasi you're an incumbent
Yes.
official and then you run again. No, you have the past 3 years to prove your mettle, to actually woo your re-election chances. You woo the voters. No? Pero so that's really
And
a sense
lastly,
of dissatisfaction.
Prof, po, nakikita natin kasi itong mga local candidates na to, may mga alliances ito sa national positions. So the way you look at it, anong basa mo dito? Mas marami ba, base dun sa result natin, na may pumapabor ngayon sa mga Duterte? Mas malaki ba yung boto nila na may alliances sa local? Or it's the other way around?
I don't have a sense yet of how local officials who ran in this election actually fared and whether they're really pro-Duterte or not. But at the end of the day, it's difficult to rely on politicians unless they're very loyal to you, because at the end of the day, they will always prioritize their political fortunes, no?
That's true.
Over the fortunes of a national politician. So that's why it's important to also have other alternative sources of political base like the youth, senior citizens, women.
Yeah, that's right.
Para hindi ka lang nagre-rely dun sa constituents ng local politician.
Marami pa tayong gustong tanongin, but we will continue our discussion with Professor Jean and Richard. First, let's get reports from the ground. We have Mobile Journal Kayla Makantan, who is now in Pasig. O nasa Taguig ka na ba ngayon? Hindi natin alam nasan ba si Kayla. Kayla, where are you?
Pasig to.
Hi, Angela Diego. Ngayong umaga nandito naman tayo sa Taguig.
Taguig, okay.
Simula madaling araw, tayo ay nagbantay dito. Umalis tayo ng mga past 1 a.m. na. At nag-decide nga yung ating BOC na i-resume na lang ng 11 a.m. ngayong araw.
Okay. Ang tawag dito, yung mga candidates natin dyan, can you tell us yung naging boto dyan sa mayor at saka sa vice mayor, at kung yung mga naging kalaban nila ay formally nag-concede na?
Yes. Angela, nung kahapon, nung nagsimula yung pagbibilang ng boto, tuloy-tuloy naman talaga. Kaso pagpatak nung siguro mga around 10:50 p.m., nasa 95%, tapos hindi na ulit gumalaw. Mga 2 hours na yung nakalipas nung naging 96%. At mula naman dito sa latest na data na nabigay, talagang malaki yung lamang ni incumbent Mayor Larry Cayetano. Yung bilang nga ngayon na naka-flash dito sa screen, as of 11 a.m., nasa 397,000 yung total, yung unofficial na votes na tanggap ng Mayor, habang yung kanyang katunggali naman na si former Congressman Serapica ay nasa 99,000. At syempre meron din isang independent candidate na si Lucedrina na nakakuha naman ng 6,000. Kung titingnan naman natin, Angela, kung ikukumpara natin sa kanilang mga BC, syempre, kagaya ni re-election ni Cayetano, pinalad din ulit si Arvin Alit. So malaki-laki talaga yung lamang, 126,954, habang si Janelle naman na katandem ni Serapica at kanya ring may bahay ay nakakuha ng 129,000. At ang isang independent naman na si Tanglao ay 15,000. Yung isang nakakabigla din, no? Kinagulat din ng ilan dito sa Taguig, Angela, kung ikukumpara yung boto na nakuha ni Arnel Serapica at ng kanyang may bahay, kasi kahit na vice ang itinatakbo nito ni Janelle, mas malaki yung kanyang total na 129 kumpara sa kanyang asawa na si Arnel na 99,000 lang yung nakuha. Pero sabi naman ng ilan, yung pagdating naman dito nga sa mga House of Representatives, hindi din daw, kumbaga, nagulat din sila. Medyo nagulat daw sa naging resulta kasi sa first district, lamang syempre ang kapartido ni Mayor Lani na si Adi na nakakuha ng 103,000. At ang malapit, madikit yung kanyang nakuha dito kay Pam Zamora na nasa 100,000.
Kayla, nakita rin natin dito dun sa Congress, natalo or lamang na tong kalaban ni Direk Lino Cayetano kasi nakakuha siya ng 89,000 votes mahigit itong si Ading Cruz, no?
Yes.
Nag-concede na ba si Direk Lino Cayetano? Or meron na ba siyang statement on this?
So ngayon, wala pa silang inilalabas sa mga statement sa huling pag-check natin ngayong umaga, no? At inaantay nga natin na pupunta dito yung ilan para tignan yung mga huling nalalabing, kasi 21 na lang yung hindi pa nabibilang na boto, 21 precincts na lang. So antabayanan natin, Angela, no, yung itong ibang kandidato na nahuhuli sa boto para abangan kung sila ba ay magpakonsinta bago pa matapos yung bilangan, dahil nga nasa 96% na rin, Angela. So konti na lang din talaga siguro yung magiging pagbabago dito nga sa mga boto.
Yes. Alam ko, Kayla, kasi binantayan mo din kahapon yung sa Pasig. At kanina nga, we've witnessed yung proclamation kay Mayor Vico Soto and the rest of his team, ika nga, dahil halos lahat ng kanyang mga kapartido ay nanalo. Merong bang statement na dito yung kanyang katunggali, si Diskaya, na talagang ang layo ng kanilang pagitan ni Vico, ni Mayor Vico?
Oo. Napakalayo nga talaga na. At nung time na nagbibilangan na, Angela, nandito na tayo sa Taguig, pero minomonitor ko naman yung sa Pasig. Kita naman na maaga, no, naging early proclamation na yung nangyari dahil sa sobrang laki nga nung lamang na boto ni Mayor Vico. At yun nga, halos ang buong gitig ng Pasig slate. Kaya naman, ngayon, si Ate Sara, kung ating i-check, meron na siyang naging pahayag. Kasi nung ating huli, medyo pa siya lumalaban pa, no, Angela? Pero ayan, kanina lang, 28 minutes. Ngayon ko lang nakita itong kanyang bagong nagpapasalamat naman siya at tinatanggap na raw niya itong naging resulta na. Kasi ang nangyari, Angela, hindi na binilang lahat talaga ng boto doon sa Pasig, no? Dahil nga sobrang laki na talaga ng lamang.
Layo na. Oo. Alright, sige. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Maraming salamat sa ating mobile journalist na si Kayla Macantan. Alright, let's get back to Professor Jean Franco para sa ating paghimay ng mga issues. At saka si Prof. Daria, nandiyan dyan ba? Diyan, may question.
Richard, are you there?
Go, question.
Richard, I'd like to ask you, masyado tayong focus sa Senate picture, no? Malaking bagay din sa isang national election sa 2028 ang composition sa local governments, no? So ano yung takeaway mo? How did the admin perform naman in terms sa mga mayoralty races?
Well, I mean, first of all, dun sa Kongreso, I'm curious din ako if we're gonna have the same speaker after this. Even though dun sa Kongreso, I think, more than a third ay hindi man lang contested.
Yeah.
So I think sa maraming mga local government level races, expected naman na pro-admin candidates will do well because the machinery factor. Nevertheless, you have big mayors. I mean, whether it's Mayor is Manila, whether it's the race in Cebu, whether it's in Baguio with Mayor Magalong, we're looking at a couple of big figures who are either not aligned with the administration or even are known to be friendly to the other side of this equation. For instance, Mayor Magalong of Baguio is known for having very good relationship with Senator Bongo, who did also very well, and with the Duterte administration in general. Isko Moreno, for instance, he had Philip Salvador with him all the time. You know, in Manila, he has good relationship with the Dutertes, and he was not endorsed by the admin. So I'm sure there's a part of him is wondering, right, about his dynamics with them in Cebu. So I think it's not only in Davao, right? You can look at 4, 5, 6 major cities kung saan administration aligned or administration candidates didn't do very well. So may implication yan. So tama si Professor Jean. I mean, if you look at it, ang problema kasi ni BBM ngayon is maraming nasa admin ngayon dahil lang nandun yung resources. But marami sa kanila after these elections, what is the leverage of BBM over them, right? Because we're gonna look at 2028.
Moving forward.
Sorry, Duterte's look strong.
Yeah.
Sara Duterte is strong. Bongo is very strong. He's coming with 20-25 million votes. Bato is 20 million votes. Marcoleta coming with 15-16 million votes.
Richard, hold that thought muna. Wait.
Don't be surprised. You know, a lot of these local government officials, even on the admin side who won.
Richard, hold that thought. We'll get back to you. May breaking lang tayo from Comelec. We have the latest on Comelec for the latest partial results of this year's midterm elections. As of 7 a.m., nearly 99% of local election returns have been transmitted. Back to Comelec. For the details, we will go live with mobile journalist Merimon Reyes. Merimon, what's the latest there sa mga partial unofficial natin?
Angela, dito sa likuran ko, nasa Comelec Monitoring Center kasi ako sa Intramuros, Maynila. At tama nga, as of this time, 98.71%
Merimon, sayang yung report mo, yung signal natin. Medyo pihit lang tayo ng konti. Medyo choppy ang signal. Merimon? Ayun, so we're getting the latest kasi from Merimon for, I think we're at, sabi mo, Angel,
yes,
99%?
Yung election returns right now is about 98.9%.
Alright, let's go back to Merimon. Merimon, go ahead.
Yung tulad na nung napag-usapan natin nga kanina, nearly 99% na for the local election returns yung nakukuha dito ng Comelec. Samantala, para naman sa overseas, 84.71% na. Pero yun nga, nananatili pa rin on the lookout ngayon ng Comelec. Lalo-lalo na kung dahil kumakalat ngayon yung mga issue or concern pagdating daw sa sinasabing discrepancies o sinasabing dagdag bawas doon sa mga lumalabas na boto. Nag-convene din ang National Board of Canvassers bandang alas 10 ng umaga doon sa Manila Hotel para na ipagpatuloy yung canvassing ng mga election returns. At nilinaw kanina ni Comelec Chair George Erwin Garcia na kung ano man daw yung mga rankings na nakikita ng mga kapatid natin out there, hindi raw ito nanggagaling sa kanila dahil hindi raw sila pwedeng mag-ranking dahil nga baka raw maisip ng mga tao ay official ranking na raw yon. So hindi rin daw nila alam kung sino dito ang nangunguna. Basta tinatransmit nila dito yung election returns mula sa mga presinto. At isa pa sa kino-consider dito, kung sakali daw na nagkakaroon ng pagkalito doon sa mga numero, o yung question nga na bakit daw parang naiba yung bilang ng boto nitong oras na to, sa iba hindi, ganyan. Kailangan daw tignan na saan nga ba nanggaling, sino nga ba nagpresenta ng datos na ito. Kasi real time naman na tinatransmit yung mga bilang ng boto sa mga servers na ito, sa Comelec server, sa media server, sa PPCRV, pati sa NAMFLEL. Pero posible nga makaharap ito ng delays o pwedeng magkaiba-iba yung paglabas daw ng mga numero na ito. Pero nilinaw ng Comelec at dinisclaim nila, hindi sila naglalabas ng ranking or ng kung ano man hangga't hindi pa talaga official yung kanilang pagtatali ng mga ito, yung pagka-canvas nila. And for that senatorial votes nga, nasabi nila, ang plan nila or they're looking forward to proclaiming the senatorial winners ngayong Sabado, May 17. So hangga't hinihintay natin yun, partial and unofficial votes pa yung lumalabas at patuloy natin antabayanan yung pagpatakpa ng mga numero sa mga nangangandidato.
Oo. Merimon, tanong ko lang din, ano daw ang magiging aksyon o tugon ng Comelec tungkol doon sa mga iba't ibang aberya na nai-report natin yesterday. Tulad na lamang ng mga reklamo ng ating mga botante na iba daw yung shinade nila at yung lumabas doon sa receipt nila, iba din yung lumabas. So ano yung mangyayari doon?
Oh, Angela, kung tungkol doon naman sa mga overseas voters, yung concern din kasi nila, ganyan din daw. Yung binoto nila, iba raw yung lumabas dun sa kanilang resibo. Pero ang sinabi dito kasi ng Comelec, hindi raw nila maaari talaga mailabas po ano yung yung binoto nito nga ating overseas voters. Kasi nga, yung tinitignan dito yung security ng kanilang mga votes. Kaya lumalabas sa parang randomize yung pangalan na lumalabas doon na para hindi ito magsilbing resibo para daw sa vote buying or selling. Kasabay din yan, ilan din kasi sa mga concern, halimbawa dito sa Voter Care Center ng Comelec, may mga natatanggap din pa silang tawag, though bilang na lang ito sa kamay, na mga reklamo na merong isang botante, mag-ina daw sila galing Makati, na kahit daw alam nila, nakita nila na active yung registration, yung voter's ID ng botanteng ito, hindi raw nakaboto kasi hindi raw lumabas yung pangalan doon mismo sa voting precinct niya. Ang nasabi dito ng Voter Care, i-relay daw nila ito sa Electoral Board na para raw matignan kung paano ba mas malilinis yung sistema ng pagboto sa mga susunod na halalan. Yun nga lang, ang pinakamangyayari dito, yung mga nakaharap ng ganitong problema o issue, hindi na sila maaaring bumoto dahil tapos na nga ang voting. Pero ang naging guarantee dito or assurance ng Comelec, patuloy daw nilang titignan yung mga issue na ito, yung mga problema na ito. At pagdating doon sa mga concerns naman o reklamo pagdating sa vote buying and selling, nilinaw ng Comelec na meron silang prescription of 5 years. So ibig sabihin kahit natapos na ang araw ng halalan, yung mga reklamo o may mga offenses sa paglabag sa election code o iba pang regulation na may kinalaman sa halalan, maaari pa po nilang habulin sa loob ng 5 taon.
All right, thank you for that report. That was mobile journalist Merimon Reyes from Comelec. Now, let's get an update at the command center of the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, or PPCRV. Joining us live from Manila, One News mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. Arles, what do we expect now from PPCRV?
Magandang umaga sa inyo dyan, Diego, sa studio. Nandito tayo ngayon sa PPCRV kung saan ay kaninang umaga isa sa mga una na pinigyan linaw ng PPCRV ay ang pagkakaroon ng delay o discrepancy sa kanilang system dahil huli raw na nag-update ang kanilang system ng 12:01 kaninang madaling araw at nagkaroon ng hindi pagkakatugma sa bilang na inilalabas ng transparency server ng Comelec at ng transparency server mismo ng PPCRV. Ayan ay nakita ng PPCRV na nagkaroon daw ng ilang mga duplicate sa mga boto na pumasok dito. Kaya kung makikita ninyo sa aking likuran, ang dating 26 million na boto na nakatala kay Bongo ay ngayon ay 21 million na lamang. Ayan daw ay kanilang naresolba sa pamamagitan ng pakikipag-ugnayan din sa Comelec. Pero isa nga lang na mahalagang punto rito ay medyo delay daw sila kanina ng 18% sa kanilang transparency server o ito yung mga boto na hindi pa pumapasok dahil sa Comelec website ay halos tapos na ang pag-transmit ng mga boto. At isa pa sa mahalagang punto pa rito, Diego, ay itong 18% daw kasi na ito na hinahanap pa rin ngayon ng PPCRV ay maaaring makapagdikta ng the last 3 spots ng top 12 natin sa Senado. Kaya hindi pa rin talaga natin masasabi na meron na tayong magic 12 sa oras na ito. Dito ay nagpapatuloy ang pagka-canvas at pag-validate ng mga volunteer ng PPCRV sa bawat distrito sa iba't ibang lungsod dito sa Metro Manila. Kanina umaga ay kahon-kahon ng mga election returns o ER ang kanilang manual na tinitignan para masigurado na tama ang pumapasok sa server natin sa botohan na ito.
Arles, would you know kung saang areas pa ba natin iniintay itong mga election returns na to?
Sa ating pakikipanayam, Angela, ang isa daw na hindi pa nila natatanggap yung ilang election return ay sa San Juan City. Pero ayan ay kaninang alas 10 ng umaga nang dumating ang ibang mga boxes dito. Pero kagabi kasi ay nagkaroon ng sobrang lakas ng ulan sa Kalakang Maynila kaya medyo nahirapan sa pag-transfer ng mga election returns ang mga presinto sa maraming lungsod ng Maynila. Pero may ilan naman na raw dumating at ang nauna dyan ay ang Diocese of Cubao na nauna na nilang tinignan.
Kasi kung sakasakali sa San Juan, 100 registered voters pa, 100,000 registered voters pa yan na po pwedeng mag-add up dun sa mga bandang nasa bandang huli ng ano natin,
Yes.
ng senatorial slate.
Parang solid na rin si Mayor Francis Zamora, no, retaining his seat
Yeah.
as
But,
mayor.
dun sa ating mga nasa Senado. Alright, Diego?
All right, thank you very much, mobile journalist Arles de los Santos, for that report. Let's go back to our guest. Richard was finishing up something. Sorry for that, Richard. Medyo madaming breaking reports tayo.
Oo nga, nakapagsulat nga ako ng article.
Pwede mo na
But
i-publish
Richard, you were
after the
saying
show.
something interesting kasi about local politics and impact leading up to the presidential elections.
No, I mean, absolutely. Sabi ko, marami dyan ay, again, the Professor Frank was correct. I mean, marami dyan ay nasa admin lang dahil the resources were there. But nevertheless, you had a couple of very high-profile candidates, whether it's Isko, Mayor Magalong, known not to be with this administration. Mayor Magalong has been very critical dun sa issue ng budget ng administration ngayon, and yet he won. He won, and Isko also did immensely well. Talagang landslide din ang nangyari sa kanila, even though yung incumbent was backed by the administration. So if you look at it, there are going to be stellar big shot mayors who, by the way, I mean, I've looked at some even numbers that even some of these mayors may have a chance for national office in 2028. So again, if your administration, if you're BBM, you're quite worried because you don't have a real political party. Marami dyan ay nasa administration lang dahil lang resources were with you. I think President BBM really fell short in terms of exercising leadership. He didn't pressure the members of the Alianza to toe the line, to take his position, to support him on the ICC. Like for instance, nung si Amy Marcos was essentially, berating General Torre, berating the Remullas, and all. What did the other candidates say? Diba? Anong ginawa nila in support of these people? So I think this is where the communication strategy basically of the administration was a total collapse because even though may mga competent new people sila like Attorney Castro, at the end of the day, it's the commander-in-chief. As the Italians say, the fish rots from the head. It matters what the commander-in-chief does. So I think the challenge here for BBM is to completely revolutionize and up his game, his communications game, if he wants to avoid becoming a lame duck. And looking at the 2028 race, we knew it. This 2025 election was not only about 2025. It was not only a referendum on BBM. It was not only about Sara impeachment. It's also, if not more than anything, about 2028. If you're Bongo right now, you're thinking, maybe I can run for president. If you're Sara right now, two of your endorsed candidates make it against all odds, you feel good about your chances. If you're Isko, if you're Magalong, who are not with the administration and doing so well, you're also thinking about it. So I think the situation is quite tricky for President BBM, and if he doesn't leverage his power of bully pulpit, I think this still for me looks very much like a Duterte.
Yeah. You have a good point there, Richard. And I also want to ask Professor Jean, tungkol naman kay Senator Francis Tolentino. No, medyo wala na talaga siya sa top 15, even top 15, and mas mataas pa nga ata si Congressman Busita sa kanya, no? What happened there? Kasi ano siya dati siyang senador, and we've all known him dun sa kanyang mga authored bills like yung tungkol sa maritime law, etc. So anong nangyari sa kanya?
Well, I guess messaging, that's one. That's key. And then there's this belated, he also investigated.
Yes, yung hearing niya sa Senate.
Yeah, yung sa Chinese interference.
Yeah.
But I guess that's too late, and he's really just banking on the fact that this election is going to be whether it's they're going to choose pro-China or candidates or those candidates who are against China. And, obviously that was not enough.
Mga Prof, you're saying parang he focused and banked on one solitary issue masyado instead of shifting to the other concerns of the Filipino people.
That's of course, that's one issue. And secondly, messaging is also key, especially in this very polarized environment, di ba? And then, yes, it's surprising because he's an incumbent senator. I guess it's just that most of the candidates are really very popular in the first place, and then during the entire incumbency of Senator Tolentino, the public must not have had any significant issue that they can sort of link with him, and like of course Bongo, no?
Yung Malasakit
Who has
Center
the
niya.
Malasakit Center, no? Whereas the Tulfo would have the Tulfo brand, of course. So that's I guess one explanation.
And you may also take a look at the time na nanalo siya na senador. At that time, ay doon siya sa alyansa with the Dutertes.
Yes, oo, and yeah. And he's not really up there, di ba? Medyo nasa ano rin siya eh. 11 ba or 12 in the
Could it be
2019
taking a toll on
elections?
his brand ni Senator, former Senator, or Senator Tolentino? Because before he was with Pinoy administration, and then he moved to the Duterte administration. Now he's with the Marcos administration. Hindi ba nagkakaroon na siguro ng stress o umay factor sa electorate?
That's one. Kasi you can also say that about Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's always jumping from one coalition to
Very
another.
similar sila, no? Storyline sila.
Oo. And that's why probably people do not know anymore where he stands. Except in the boxing ring, siguro.
Pero what about you, Richard? Do you think the same way about Senator Tolentino?
Well,
sabi mo kanina, yung issue ng West Philippine Sea,
Richard, I'll add
hindi
to
yan
that.
masyado na
Yung question ni
na-tackle
Angel,
during election
Senator
campaign.
Tolentino and Manny Pacquiao. Senator Tolentino's messaging is yung West Philippine Sea. Manny Pacquiao, ibalik ang bobo sa Senado.
Ba't ka tumatawa?
Sorry, like, ang dami nagtatanong sa akin about Ipe and Willie Revilla because I did a lot of content on that.
We will get to
There was
that
a-
later.
Sabi na baka pag nanalo yan, ako yung sisisihin kasi ginaya ko daw yung sayaw ni Ipe. But anyway, going back to... I'm sorry, there's so much trash talk going on. But going back to this, no, I think with Senator Pacquiao, I heard strange stories. Like one version I heard is, siya lang daw sumasama kay BBM sa mga sorties. Nang sipag niya sa sorties daw, pero wala siyang air war. And yung the whole Bobo thing came out even more late than
Late,
yung
oo
kay...
Super late na.
Kay Tolentino was absolutely super late, right? If you want to frame this election as Team Philippines versus Team China, dapat ginawa mo yan nung last year pa. Not to mention, make sure hindi ikaw yung Ronald Llamas ni Digong. Right? Last time I checked, Tolentino's job was exactly the job Ronald Llamas had with Aquino. So there's going to be a credibility gap, right? For him to say, oh, by the way, I'm the Mr. West Philippine Sea. And hindi nag-stick eh. And I think I noticed even with the pundits and analysts, very few were willing to openly, again, with the exception probably of Ronald Llamas, openly say this candidate is pro-China or this candidate is not pro-China. So I think from West Philippine Sea issue to the ICC issue, etc., talagang nakalusot yata yung iba eh, or at the very least, this didn't favor some of the candidates like Tolentino who wanted to make this more issue-based and based on that, build their momentum. But with Pacquiao, I mean, wala siyang masyadong air war, wala siyang presence masyado. I mean, just look at our algorithms. I see Bato every day. I see even Ipe, like Philip Salvador. There was not much with Pacquiao. So I think there was a lot of complacency there. And this thing, because he was in sorties with BBM, baka yung unpopularity ni BBM actually backfired. And his numbers in Mindanao are very, very low, right? I look at the pre-election surveys, I'm looking at some of the numbers now. It looks like he was not able to also leverage being the champion and the son of Mindanao in ways that the other side was able to. So,
Richard, di niya nag-consolidate yung area. But I'd like to ask you about your favorite, yung Budots. Parang hindi naging effective ngayon.
Well, speaking of Budots, even I think Senator Revilla, he was having second thoughts of if he wanted to Budots. Again, I heard in sorties na pinapabudots siya, tapos ayaw na magbudots. Gusto niya maging issue-based din, but I think that was too late. The brand was already established. So, I don't know. I mean, for me, again, this goes back to the issue. This is what I was emphasizing. If tactical voting had happened, if the Lenny endorsement of Abalos and Pacquiao was fully embraced by the vast majority of the Lenny base, I think it would have been possible na hindi si Aimee, maybe not even Camille, would have made it to top 12. So as much as I think the quote-unquote pink base should be very happy with the tremendous, I mean, Bami is probably even presidentiable at this point in time. Huge comeback for the Aquino name, just like the Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi in the case of India. But they're just two, right? there could have been more candidates, not necessarily pink or progressive, but you would know that they will be on the right side of history should the impeachment case come in, should the ICC case come in, should the West Philippine Sea case come in. Pacquiao, for instance, he took a strong stance on West Philippine Sea and eventually na-split sila ni Digong before the 2022 elections, right? You could imagine Abalos or Binay would have voted not necessarily in favor of Sara Duterte, but now you have Camille Villar, now you have Aimee. So I think the other side of the story is that tactical voting did not, materialize because, again, tama si Jin, timing matters. I think Lenny's endorsement of Pacquiao and Abalos, while it may have had some impact, it would have been way more impactful if it was A, done earlier, and B, more explanation sana from Lenny. I think yung kay Lenny is like, mabait si Pacquiao, friends kami. Parang, I don't think that was enough. Because I heard a lot of people that think I'm saying, okay, good for you kung friends kayo, but look at his record. I think Lenny could have gone and say, well, Manny Pacquiao try his best to be hindi na absentee. Even dun sa yung bobo thing, the thing that Pacquiao posted.
Ibalik ang bobo sa Senado.
Defensive siya. Parang ang dami kong ginawa sa mga tao, so dapat maging senador ako. It doesn't work that way.
But
It should have been, alam ko nagkakulang ako, pero galingan ko ngayon, sisikapin ko. Dapat ganun yung line. So hindi lang lit, may pagkasablay sa messaging, to be honest.
Yung kanina nasabi mo, no, si Senator Bong Revilla, medyo parang nagdalawang isip siya kung magbubudot siya, pero gusto niya issue-based. Pero ang dating doon, hindi naman siya sumisipot sa mga debate, sa mga interviews. O paano natin siya malalaman yung mga issues niya? But going back doon sa sinasabi ni Richard regarding the endorsement of VP Lenny, would you like to add to that?
I just would like to add...
Moving forward, yung kay VP Lenny, no? Yung pink base, do you see a resurgence?
Yeah. Mag-add lang ako dun sa kay Pacquiao, yung sa Bobo, no?
Yes.
Who wants to vote for somebody who calls himself Bobo, di ba?
Interesting.
Then you make yourself Bobo too, di ba? I know the idea is to sort of reconstruct yung sort of paratang sa kanya sa mga tao. Pero it's too much
sarcasm,
of a...
I think that was the effort, sarcasm.
Oo, yung ganun, ano? Pero but then, it's too much, I think, for the voter to actually vote for.
Problema, Prof, no? I don't know if you say it that way. The idea, if you, in campaign na bobo na yun, if you watch the whole video, you'll get to understand it. Ang problema, masyadong matingkad ang catchphrase, ibalik ang bobo sa Senado. So, do you think nagkamali dito ang PR niya?
Yeah, at saka hindi naman siya bobo, so to speak, eh. Kumbaga, ano lang siya, hindi niya area. Di ba? Hindi niya area yung ipinasok niya.
He could have used another word.
Yes, yung gano'n, no? Or mag-allude dun sa boxing, what it takes to be a good boxer, and then, yung mga gano'n.
Mga sasapakin natin strategies,
but you know,
rap sa Senado, yung mga gano'n.
or something like that. With regard to the pink movement, there's a hope. Of course, this when it's a senatorial election, there are a lot of people you vote, no? Hindi lang isa. Unlike nung 2022 elections, 'di ba? Hindi isa lang talaga iboboto mong presidente. But then merong 3 taon pa to think things over, to consolidate your forces, to actually change the narrative, to be a stronger, genuine opposition. And I think this particular election gives a lot of hope for the pink
I'd like to ask
movement.
you about that, Prof, before we move forward sa discussion. You were mentioning 3 years, but in the last few years, a lot of people from the yellow and pink base have been looking for a true leader, a true opposition. A lot of them are confused. Saan ba kami? Duterte? Are we with the Marcoses?
Green
Now,
ba kami? Pink ba kami?
Moving forward,
Yellow.
you have Risa Ontiveros, Senator Risa Ontiveros. You now have Bam, you now have Kiko. Now, you think the pink can solidify once again as the true opposition?
Yes, and it depends on how they will perform as judges if there is an impeachment court
So
trial.
that will be the defining
There will
moment.
be a lot of superstars that will come out of that trial, especially that it's going to be live streamed.
Yeah.
And the way they portray themselves, the way they... I mean, of course, it depends on how it will play out, whether Sara will appear. Kasi it doesn't matter naman whether you're guilty or not, di ba?
Right,
I mean, in terms of public perception,
Yes.
yun yung mahalaga, di ba? So, yeah.
Alright.
That's going
so,
to be a
siguro na
good,
lang yung assessment po ninyo sa overall na midterm elections. But hold that thought kasi puntahan muna natin si Pawi here for another data gathering from our midterm elections result.
So, ngayon, earlier we talked about the Magic 12 already. The top 6 senatorial balls, of course, nanguna pa rin si Senator Bongo. Next to him, Bam Aquino, Senator Bato de la Rosa, Erwin Tulfo, Kiko Pangilinan, and number 5, and Rodante Marcoleta. Pero gusto kong i-focus is the tight race for the last spot. Of course, Senator Amy Marcos is the one at the number 12 spot with 10,700,000 votes. If you take a look at the distribution per province ng kanyang mga boto, 10.75% of those galing sa NCR, at next is Pangasinan, Cebu, Cavite, Bulacan. Diyan po galing halos lahat ng mga boto ni Senator Amy Marcos. But if you take a look at the number 13 spot, si Bong Revilla is 1 million votes behind. Titignan natin kung makakahabol pa siya once all the votes come in, once all the electoral results come in. But if you look at ito ngang si Bong Revilla, meron po siyang 7.99% na boto from the National Capital Region with 700,000 votes. But we will see kung that's enough to get him into the so-called Magic 12. I also wanted to touch on the party list kasi napaka-importante din yan. For these elections, what a surprise. Akbayan is the number 1 party list with getting over 2 million votes. So, ang first nominee po nila is none other than Chel Jokno. Ito po ang kanyang first successful bid for public office after 2 failed Senate attempts noong 2019 and 2022. So, ngayon, magiging congressman na po si Chel Jokno ng party list. But the good thing here for Akbayan is they're getting 3 seats in the 20th Congress dahil nga po napakarami ng mga botong nakuha nila. Ang second nominee po nila si Percy Sandanya at ang pangatlo ay si Jaime Makiram Ismula. So pangalawang party list naman po natin na nagtop ng botohan is Duterte Youth, Tingog, 4Ps, ACT-CIS at Ako Bicol. Yan po ang mga top 6 party lists, which is quite different, comparing lang noong 2022 for the 19th Congress, yung party list race na yan was actually topped by ACT-CIS, yung party list ni Congressman Erwin Tulfo. Number 2 yung One Riders party list. Pangatlo yung Tingog, so they just maintained their position. So this reflects, they say, nung boto ng mga Gen Zs, millennials, choosing the alternative candidates. So let's take a look. Akbayan, ito na nga, most of their votes galing National Capital Region, 600,000 votes there, or 27% coming from NCR. Kasama na rin po ang ibang mga probinsya po sa Central Luzon. Nandyan ang Pampanga, Bulacan, nandyan rin po ang Nueva Ecija. Meron na rin sa Pangasinan, Laguna, Batangas, Negros Occidental. So, congratulations po sa Akbayan Party List.
Pa-check lang natin yung iba pang mga party
ML,
list
Pauline,
dyan.
sama si ML.
Kasi
yung kay
63 seats.
63 seats ang kailangan punuin ng party list.
Yan yung mga pasok.
I want to ask you, Pauline, saan nagsa-stop yung 2%?
Oo, kasi ang 2%, wala
Wala ba
tayong
dyan?
data, Sige, hanapin natin.
Kasi, di ba, Pauline, 2% ang needed para magkaroon ng seat. Pag hindi ka umabot at
Ito.
hindi puno, yun.
Okay, so actually, ang pasok lang sa 2% hanggang sa ACT-CIS, top 5, 2.15% sila. Ang Ako Bicol, 1.91%, which is already under 2.
Yeah.
Pero nga, since it doesn't satisfy that 2% requirement, kailangan punuin yung 63.
So they'll count going down already.
Going down. So baka probably itong
One
mga
seat each.
nandito.
Usually 1 seat each.
Oo, although ang Akbayan nga may tatlo na,
Tatlo na.
And I think 2 to 6, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 to 5, 2 seats sila.
Oo.
And then from there on, 1 seat na lang itong mga But you did ask about ML party list. Ayan po
14.
sila, number 14. First nominee nila, of course, former Senator Laila De Lima. So, ang iba pang mga party list, ito po, mga senior citizens, sibak, trabaho, nandyan din po ang Solid North Party, Iswag,
Alright.
Ilonggo. So, that reflects itong, we'll find out na lang kung, di ba, ang party list system dapat talagang near-represent ang marginalized sector. So, kayo na po ang mag-decide.
Pag nakaupo na, tignan natin ulit.
Tignan po natin yan.
Siguro quick roundup na lang din sa ating local elections, Pauline.
Okay, sige, tingnan naman natin ang local race, key races.
Oo.
Sige, check muna natin sa Metro Manila, ano? Quezon City, well, ano post naman dyan.
Wow.
Si Joy Belmonte. Or no, she actually may iba siyang mga kalaban, ano?
Yeah,
But,
pero look at the score.
landslide
Oo,
naman ang
look at
kanyang
the votes.
panalo. City of Manila, of course,
Landslide.
Isko Moreno, Mayor Isko Moreno back as the head of Manila City. Ganon din po sa mga ibang syudad. Sa Taguig naman, si Lani Cayetano ang nanalong mayor. Sa Pasig, si Vico Soto.
Sa Caloocan.
Sa Caloocan, tignan natin yan, ano, yung mga malapitan.
Kasi dyan si Senator Trillanes.
Yan. So, is she a victory?
Against the very strong Along Malapitan.
Yeah,
Talagang-
ano sila dyan institution ang tawag sa kanila dyan.
Oo, so medyo malaki din ang lamang niya.
Oo.
Okay. Alright.
So, yan po ang mga ilang key races that we are watching in Metro Manila, Makati.
Yun.
So, nangunguna po si Nancy Binay with 93,000 votes. Si Luis Campos, mga ano to, no? 20,000 yung ano nila, difference nila. Pero tingnan natin kung mag-iiba pa yan. Although 79%, this reflects 79% of the data already that has been transmitted. So, ayan po, Mandaluyong, Abalos pa rin, Navotas, kay John Ray Tiangco. Sa San Juan, si Francis Zamora pa rin po. Gerald Herman naman sa Pateros. Pasay City, Calixto pa rin. Muntinlupa, Rufy Biazon. City of Marikina.
Yan.
Okay.
Teodoro.
So mukhang nangunguna po si Maan Teodoro. She has a number of significant votes more than, of course, Representative Stella Kimbo.
What is also yan, ito. Tignan natin, ano. Yung kay
kay Marcy.
Teodoro Marcy against Pimentel.
Former Mayor Marcy Teodoro.
Yes.
Former Senator Coco Pimentel.
Malaki yung difference nila, kaya lang kasi merong pending disqualification case si Mayor Marcy Teodoro.
But we'll see how that holds out.
Pero sabi nga, wala pa kasing
Finality.
sa bank. Kaya lang kasi, kapag naproklama na yan, matatapos yung jurisdiction ng Comelec. No? So,
So
titignan
if they
din
don't
natin.
get a ruling on the finality at na-proclaim na si former Mayor Marcy, then he takes the seat.
Oo. Alright, sige. Any more significant...
Sa Cebu, na-discuss na ba natin yung race?
Kamusta na si Gab sa Cebu? Maano, Pauline?
So, sige, tingnan natin.
Si Gwen
Local,
Garcia.
tingnan natin, Cebu.
Alam ko
Wala
ano siya
tayong,
dyan.
Okay, mayor na lang.
Hanapin pa natin
Hindi
yung
siya
sa
pinalad
governor,
si Gwen
Pero mukhang
Garcia.
ito, sa
Yeah.
pagka-governor nga ng Cebu, mukhang natalo po si Gwen Garcia.
Malaki
Itong
yung
si
lamang.
Pam Baricuato na in-endorso nga po ng PDP Laban has already gotten over 1 million votes. But we do know Cebu is a most vote-rich province yan
Yes.
sa bansa. Ano?
Alright.
So, very interesting results. Sinabi ko nga, di ba, at the top of our coverage, this is quite unpredictable. Talaga namang walang survey firm ang nakapag-predict nitong mga resulta po natin in this midterm elections.
Alright, thank you so much, Pauline.
Let's go back to Prof.
Okay, so
Hello.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
now, Prof, I'd like to ask, what's your overall honest assessment of this midterm election?
Well, the message for me of this midterm election is hope. That we are in the cusp of changes, no? In the coming months, in the coming years. And I hope it's changed for the better. While the people have spoken, the hardest part is governing.
Yes.
And I think as citizens, we should not stop conducting our citizenship by just voting. We continue to monitor and express our sentiments
That's right.
and demand the best government that we deserve.
Parang we hold them accountable after putting them in position.
Yes.
Okay, what about you?
Richard, parting shots.
Parting,
Sorry, nagsusulat na ako ng article. No,
parting
first of all,
words.
honestly, pagdating sa surveys, I think maybe we're becoming like the US kasi sinasabi ng mga survey agencies na nahihirapan na sila with a lot of people to fully express their honest feelings. Ako personally, I try to do yung, I mean, kalye surveys are not real surveys, pero napansin ko marami sa ating mga kabayan na hindi komportable to share their points of view nung on the record na ako or with microphone. Pero nung ako lang kausap nila, they were very open about their points of view. So maybe also the physics of information exchange between survey agencies and journalists in general on one hand, and the people is also going to change, especially pag very polarized yung environment. I think the other big issue is here is sino maging leader ng opposition in the coming years. Kasi, well, technically it's Riza Hontiveros, and Riza Hontiveros almost 100% success rate. There's this picture of her with Chel Jokno, Kiko, Bam, and Leila, and all of them nanalo. So Riza could say, you know, she's a very successful leader of opposition. But Bam, who comes from quite a different persuasion, you know, Riza is much more center-left. I would say Bam is much more center, if not more conservative. He also has a very strong case that maybe his version is the version of the future, and he literally represents the future because of his youth. Ano na eh, buff Bam na eh, di ba? Then there's Kiko, right? Who ran for the vice presidency in the previous race, and now probably is thinking, well, if I'm top 5 and I do well, maybe I should run for the president. And Kiko represents the traditional Liberal Party. So which version of the opposition are we gonna get? Is Lenny, after one term in Naga, is she gonna go for the presidency? So this is the other big question we have to ask. So tama si Professor Jean, let's see what's gonna happen in the Senate, because there makakaalaman na talaga who's the real leader of the opposition, which version of opposition would work. And the last I would also say, yun nga, ito yung double paradox na nakita ko sa election na yan. Sa isang banda, it was a very positive, safe, if not pa-cute campaign in general, considering the issues and stakes at hand, and yet it helped the opposition, which is quite an interesting thing. And the other thing is, celebrities didn't do very well in this race, after all. I think si Lito Lapid lang maisip ko na celebrity who made it. So maybe
In the
the
senatorial
voters,
race,
maybe we're underestimating the voters. Maybe voters are looking for something more. So I think that's something good, and that's why I want to see exit polls. Ano bang hiningi ng mga Gen Z, millennials, who are the majority of the voters? Because otherwise, this is just educated guess we're doing here.
Okay. At this point, we'd like to thank our political analyst for today, Professor Jean Franco, and geopolitical analyst Richard Heydarian for joining us the past hour and a half. Thank you so much po.
Thank you.
To our big story anchor, Pauline Versosa, for presenting us with the latest data from Comelec. Maraming salamat. And this has been the 31-hour marathon coverage on Bilang Pilipino 2025. Thank you for watching. I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro.
I'm Jago Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.
Hereby proclaim the above-named winning candidate as a duly elected mayor.
Maraming salamat mga batang Maynila.
Polling precincts across the country will open to millions of Filipinos in one of the most consequential elections in Philippine history.
You are watching Bilang Pilipino 2025, non-stop coverage of the midterm elections.
Results coming in, 48% so far, 45,000 of 93,000 precincts.
We have on the line Senator Bato de la Rosa.
Gandang umaga, Pilipinas, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Kami po'y gising na gising pa.
Hindi niya raw pababayaan, no? Siyempre, ang mga Manilenyo at ang mga Manilenya natin.
This is the special coverage on Bilang Pilipino 2025. I'm Ces Orenia Drinon. We are still One News, all sides, all the time.
Bilang Pilipino.